Good evening, ladies and gents, wherever you may be around the world, and welcome to Splendid Isolation number 264. Got some interesting topics coming up this evening, but before we start, and to give people time to join the stream, as always, I'm going to start us off with a tune.
Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile, to serve your captives' need. To wait in heavy harness on flooded folk and wild. Your new God's sullen peoples have devil and have child. Take up the white man's burden, in patience to abide, to veil the threat of terror and check the show of pride. By open speech and simple, 100 times made plain, to seek another's profit and work another's gain. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace. Fill full the mouth of famine and bid the sickness cease. And when your goal is nearest, the end for others sought, what's love that heed and folly? Bring all your hopes to naught. Take up the white man's burden, no tawdry rule of kings, but toil of serf and sweeper, the tale of common things. The ports ye shall not enter, the roads ye shall not tread. Go make them with your living and mark them with your dead. Take up the white man's burden and reap his old reward. The blame of those ye better, the hate of those ye guard. The cry of those ye humor are slowly towards the light. Why brought ye us from bondage, a loved Egyptian night? Take up the white man's burden, ye dare not stoop to less, nor call too loud on freedom to cloak your weariness. By all ye cry or whisper, by all ye leave or do, the silent, sullen people shall weigh your gods and you. Take up the white man's burden, have done with childish days, the lightly proffered laurel, the easy ungrudged praise. Come down to search your manhood through all the thankless years. No age with give or wisdom, the judgment of your peers. Take off the white man's burden through all the thankless years.
That was, of course, the excellent Chris Gard. Really good musician, a good Aussie bloke. If you want to listen to some good music, go and check out Chris Gard's YouTube channel, and you can also find him on X, on Twitter, where we are also live at the moment. Okay. Sorry, I messed up the timings for this stream, by the way, guys. Time zones and daylight saving is just a pain in the rear. Unfortunately, Mitch set me right about 5 minutes before I made a mistake. because British clocks go back on Sunday, and of course it is Sunday for me, and I'm thinking, on the clock's back already? No, they're not, because maths was never my strong point. So there we go. But that's why the start of this stream got changed slightly, particularly if you're in the Antipodes. All right, so I'm going to start us off with Bede of Britannia this evening, I think. Bede is our Middle Eastern expert. If you're interested in things like Persian and Iranian history and all this kind of stuff, and lots of other Middle Eastern related content, go and check out Bede of Britannia's channel. And Bede is going to tell us what's going on at the moment in Iran. Bede, take it away, mate.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's a bit of a shit show, to be completely frank. In terms of what the most recent developments, what's notable is today the Houthis, who were the Shiite Yemen rebels, have formally joined the conflict and have started launching missiles at ships around the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. So that is a significant problem, because one thing Americans were hoping to do, and as well as the Gulf states as well, we can't get our oil and gas through the Strait of Hormuz, we could possibly send it through Saudi Arabia and the Red Sea up through the Suez Canal. But the Houthis doing this is now going to further complicate that.
I remember Bede last year, the American Navy and also the Royal Navy had ships in the Red Sea and around that area, and they were intercepting Houthi drones and stuff. So yeah, that's going to be another issue for Western nations in that part of the world, and it's going to make the oil crisis even worse, of course.
Certainly. Of course, in terms of the Gulf itself, Iran is just battering American military bases in Israel daily with more missiles and drone strikes. Of course, the Americans are still building up, and they're increasing troop presence into now, I think it's tens of thousands of men now, for potential military operations, whether this will just be taking Karg Island and Hormuz or a full-on land invasion of Iran remains to be seen. The thing that's unfortunate is that I think it's looking that this is more likely going to happen now than it was before, because with the amount of build-up of troops, it'd be very hard for the Americans to climb down without being absolutely humiliated. And the thing is, this whole situation, I just see it as a lose-lose for America, because, if they invade, I think they'll end up, even if they somehow cause the overthrow of the regime or the collapse of Iran, I think they'll suffer so much loss of international prestige and just dead and wounded and lost military equipment from the endeavour that it wouldn't have been worth it. And the other alternative is they drop out now, but they won't be able to do so very cheaply, because the Iranians have made hardline demands if we want complete American military withdrawal from the Persian Gulf and the wider Middle East, really, obviously except for Israel. So, if they agree to that, that's also a massive repudiation. So it's a bit of a disastrous situation all around.
Yeah, it is. It is. It does seem to me that the troop build-up is kind of is it part of an attempted negotiation on the Americans' part, rather than any real intention of landing troops? Do you think?
I mean, that is a possibility, certainly. But if it is, I don't think it's going to work.
Well, it doesn't seem to me that it's enough men. I mean, I hear figures of like 5 or maybe at most 8,000. I mean, that's not enough to do. I mean, it might be enough to occupy one or both of those islands that you're talking about, Bede, but I don't see it being enough to do anything else, to be honest. And if they occupy those islands, they're just going to get like drones and missiles rained on them, I would imagine.
No, more than likely, and hence why I've alluded to this. I think a great loss of life, because not only would you lose a lot of soldiers from the constant bombardment, but obviously Iran has still got something like 70% of its missiles and drones still to use, so they've got plenty of reserves they can fall back on.
Yeah, and if the Houthis are going to start their nonsense in the Gulf again, as I said, the U.S. Navy and even a Royal Navy Type 45 destroyer were needed there to shoot down Houthi drones that were targeting tankers in that part of the world. At the moment, our only spare warship is guarding Cyprus, so I don't know what's going to happen there, but who knows? It's just crazy.
Yeah, just to add to something in the chat, Steve IS2HG, it could be a raiding force. MEU are sort of set up for that. True, but the last time I remember the US Marines being deployed for a coastal operation in the Middle East, it was in Lebanon in 1982, and they got badly savaged by some bomb attacks, and they ended up withdrawing. So that was a bit of a loss of face for us.
To be fair, the U.S. Marine Corps these days, a bit like the Royal Marines, on a slightly bigger scale, of course, are more set up for raiding now than they were back then. The Royal Marines are set up for raiding basically because it's the only damn thing they can do now, because we have no amphibious ships anymore. The Labour Party sold them off. But the US Marine Corps are more set up for raiding now than they were in 1982. And I remember that, that was in the days when the US had World War II era battleships firing shells into the hills and all that sort of stuff. There were actually British troops in Lebanon as well, because our guys were having gun battles. But we didn't send so many chaps there as the Americans did, of course. But yeah, the whole thing is a mess as far as I can see. I mean, I was chatting to Bede before we went live, and Australia has got plans to bring in energy lockdowns if the war continues, which would stop people. It would stop internal flights, except vital ones. It would stop people using their car for pleasure. It would stop people flying overseas on holiday. It would even stop people using public transport other than to go to work. This is just insane, because of course Australia has no refining facilities really, and also hasn't built up a fuel stockpile for some unknown reason. But it would just be the government bringing in, the same old shit that they brought in for the China virus, basically. And New Zealand apparently is also thinking of doing something like that.
This is something that has been talked about for years, the idea of left-wing or green parties pushing climate or energy lockdowns. So this is what we may be seeing in our near future, because though our situation isn't as bad as Australia, because we've got better access to fuel and energy, we still don't have near enough, and our reserves are low and the price is crippling. And something else that's also been commented upon is part of the reasons that the Americans went ahead and did this is because they still have enough domestic energy production and they've got substantial reserves. This hasn't hurt them as much. So there's this idea that they're somewhat isolated, a bit insulated from the consequences of their actions, because, okay, the price has gone up a bit there, but hey, there's no danger of critical shortages or energy lockdowns.
Yeah, I noticed someone in the chat saying Asia has gasoline rationing. They do. I think it's the Philippines has a state of emergency already, apparently. It's just stupid. And of course, Britain has oil reserves in the North Sea, but insane idiots like Miliband won't let us use that. So, I don't know. Miliband should be locked up in a mental hospital, frankly, along with most of his the thinker-likes in the Green Party. They should all be locked up in mental hospitals, to be honest with you. But there we go. Mitch, did you have anything you wanted to say about the situation in Iran at the moment?
I know, Woodpage said something about the Saudis have been threatening to get involved, which, I mean, if anyone remembers when the Saudis decided to invade Yemen, because they were bombing the Houthis and going against them, but they lost most of the Abrams tanks, I think it was, had to restock from America again. So I don't see the Saudis invading with ground forces because they don't want to get humiliated a second time.
Maybe they're going to use their reserves of Bedouin cavalry, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, you got
the Camel Corps strikes again, eh?
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I saw Lindsey Graham, like, he was saying, oh, well, we can take Hog Island because we did the same with Iwo Jima. And I'm like, well, for anyone who doesn't know about Iwo Jima, like, that was a one Pacific War battle where the Marines suffered more casualties than the Japanese. So, of all the battles for Lindsey Graham to quote to support taking these islands off the Iranians, he's going to go with Iwo Jima. And it's not even that, it's also the Japanese in World War II was fanatical about martyrdom as the Iranians of today. So again, it's just going to be, okay, you take the islands at great cost with your Marines, some of your best troops, and then what? It's just going to be like Snake Island, where you just have to abandon it because you can bother.
There's it's interesting. I've watched a couple of videos about Iwo Jima. It's you can go there, if you make arrangements in advance, and a bit like these Iranian islands, it's pretty much a desert island. There's not a lot of vegetation. It's kind of volcanic, and so yeah, Iwo Jima might be quite a reasonable facsimile. But if people are dug in. And I think the worst thing probably wouldn't be actually taking the islands. It's the fact that once you've taken them, you're then going to get every missile and drone within range rained upon you, and you can't take. The best defense is like a warship, but you can't take it on the landward side of those islands because the Iranians will definitely have sea mines there. And B, the warship wouldn't be able to maneuver, and it would the warship wouldn't be able to maneuver, and also it would get next to no warning of stuff that's coming across. It's me, Dominus Diabolus, and I can't do anything about it at the moment. I have fiddled around with my wires and all the rest of it for hours. And I need to get a new microphone, but I can't afford one at the moment. When I can, I'll get one. So apologies. Yes, my mic is USB powered. Land B. Anyway, yeah. So it would be a difficult. It would be what I tend to do with my microphone, guys, is I mute myself when I'm not speaking, so it shouldn't be a big issue, to be honest. But yeah, it's to me, the problem is not taking the islands. I think they can do that, but the problem is once you've got the islands, you're then going to get every sort of missile and drone that the Iranians have rained upon you, and that's going to cause casualties, even if you shoot some of them down. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, to go back to Iwo Jima, because again, Iwo Jima is like several hundred miles from the Japanese mainland, whereas Kharg Island and Ormuz are right off the coast. So like it's like literal like danger close. Like it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and absolutely, Bede. And of course, the Americans had totally a superiority across Iwo Jima. The Japanese Air Force had been totally, and Navy Air Force had been totally removed from the skies. Whereas, of course, the Iranians don't need to use their Air Force because they've got missiles and drones these days.
Certainly. And the thing is, just going back to the whole, even if they get the fall of the regime out of this, I just think the cost is far too much. Because, I mean, if it be Iwo Jima, okay, they took a lot of casualties, but at least they defeated Japan, and Japan is now a loyal American ally. I just don't see the Americans turning Iran into a loyal ally after this, even if you lose thousands of Marines on Hormuz and Kharg Island.
Well, the other point, of course, is what is America actually getting out of this war? I mean, they're probably going to get a slight advantage, I guess, from oil, as you said, because America still has a surplus of oil. And of course, recently we saw the Venezuela thing, which also has a lot of oil, surprisingly enough. But other than that, they're not going to gain anything from this, as far as I can see. I mean, the only people who may benefit from this, if you look at it in terms of their silly policies, is Israel.
Yes, because Israel largely relies on oil from from Azerbaijan, which obviously the Azeris send it through Georgia through Turkey, then to Israel. So obviously that completely bypasses the Gulf and the Red Sea. So and also, so yeah, this was done entirely for the benefit of Netanyahu and Israel and Zionism to a lesser extent, really. So it's not in American interest at all, fundamentally.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, but I'm glad we're staying out of it. Although I was listening to the Lotus Eaters a couple of days ago, and Dan and Carl were talking, and they suggested that Starmer has now agreed to send at least another British warship to the Gulf. I don't know if that's true. I haven't seen any confirmation of that anywhere.
I haven't seen any confirmation of it either. All I've seen is Starmer said we're just not getting involved.
Yeah, I don't know where they got this from, but they did mention it on one of the streams that I put on the Discord. But yeah, I mean, we don't have spare warships at the moment. The only operational Type 45, which is our air defense destroyer, is guarding Cyprus, pretty much. So, you know.
I mean, I don't know if Trump even wants our help because, what did he call our ships? A bunch of toys.
Yeah, exactly. A bunch of toys. So the Americans have been quite happy to have that bunch of toys on their side in the past, though. But, there we go. I actually did quite a long thread on X on Twitter about the Royal Navy's aircraft carriers and their current position of chronic weakness. I mean, the Royal Navy has got 6 Type 45 air defense destroyers, only one of which is operational. They've got 7, but it's soon going to be only 6 Type 23 frigates, and only 3 of those are operational. Neither of our carriers are operational, and of our whole 6 SSN hunter-killer submarines, a whole 1 is operational. The Royal Navy has never been this weak, ever. Like, people are saying you'd have to go back to the 1600s. I think you'd have to go back earlier than that to find the Royal Navy weaker than it is now, relative to other people.
No, certainly not. No. Yeah. So, something else we haven't mentioned is obviously they've kept trying to eliminate the leadership because in the past week they got Larijani again, but this is the problem. He was someone who was, I think, at least prepared to talk to the Americans. So by getting rid of people like that, you just make it even harder to even discuss it with the Iranians because you're giving the IRGC more leverage. And so the only person left, I think, who isn't really under their dominance or control is Arakchi, who's the foreign minister. So I mean, if they somehow get rid of him, then yeah, there's no chance of getting any kind of resolution to this in the short term.
Or you can expect Mossad to be giving his coordinates to the US as soon as possible, then.
Well, allegedly they've tried to kill him, but they failed thus far.
I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. I also have noted, though, that have you noticed how much the fighting in Ukraine has gone out of the news because of this stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's interesting.
It's almost like that war stopped, which of course it hasn't. The Russians are still winning slowly but surely. But
Well, no, it's like, the news cycle. We've got we had COVID for 2 years, then it was the war in Ukraine for 2 years, and then we that kind of phased out a bit, and then it was Trump again and all this stuff. So it's they love their 2-year news cycles, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the Americans have apparently cut down severely on the amount of stuff they're sending to Ukraine because they're using it themselves basically. So yeah.
All I know about the situation in Ukraine is apparently the Russians are still just making cautious advances through Donbass. So yeah.
I follow the Ukraine stuff fairly closely, and all you ever hear about are Russian advances. They're not enormous advances, but they're always advances. And Ukraine occasionally counterattacks and they'll take a bit of ground, but usually they'll lose anything they gain within the next 2 weeks anyway. So basically, they're just losing the war. And they're going to continue to lose the war for as long as Russia wants to continue to fight it. To me, the sensible thing would be to negotiate, but of course, Zelensky has said he won't do that.
Well, the thing is as well, like because of the latest shenanigans in the Middle East, actually Putin is something like he's making another $156 billion more in oil sales than he was before all this started. So it's one of those things where every time America pivots away from Ukraine towards the Middle East, it ends up just enriching the Russians, like in terms of the economy, and they can prosecute the war for a lot longer because under Biden there was talk about how they were going to increase oil production, sink the oil price, and try to destroy the Russian economy that way. But with oil sales going up, the price of oil possibly going up the longer this thing goes up in the Middle East goes on, the more money that Putin rakes in and the more money he can invest into the war in Ukraine, among other things. So
100 bits, and also, of course, China is a big energy user, and where are they going to get their energy from? Well, I reckon they're going to get a lot of it via Russia because they have a land border.
No, certainly. Just to address Woodpit in the chat, from the Iranian side, if I could get sanctions lifted and financial investment and some security guarantees, I may take that deal. Yeah, that is a good deal. The problem is I don't see Trump doing it or the Zionists doing it. The only time that's happened was Obama's nuclear deal back in 2015, and then that was reversed when Trump got in. So, yeah, perhaps we're going to see this war carry on like a long, prolonged conflict, a bit like the situation in Ukraine. And ironically, unlike Trump's ability to end the war in Ukraine, what if we're looking down at, I don't know, like a Gavin Newsom presidency in 2029, and he comes in and just resolves this Iran conflict in like 6 months or something, and basically does like a nuclear deal 2.0 or something to that effect.
I think you've got a good point there, Bede. If Trump can't get himself and America out of this quagmire they're in at the moment, he's making it very likely that the Democrats will win the next presidential election.
Well, there's the midterms as well, and I think I saw a poll, and it was like Trump's net favorability with 18 to 29-year-olds in America. When he took office, it was like -1, so yeah, kind of balanced. As of sort of late last year, it was like -23 or something. As of this war, it's -53.
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to have Aubrey on this evening, and she may still join us, because she's, or she was at least, a fairly big MAGA supporter. And I would have been interested to get her view on this, because I don't think most of the MAGA base voted for Trump to get involved in another Middle Eastern war. I really don't think they did. I thought their idea was America first, i.e., not getting American boys killed in the Middle East.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, obviously Trump came in. You got that big troop surge, and yeah. Well, thanks guys for signing up. Now, time to die in Carg Island.
Yeah, and not for America, but for fucking Israel, for God's sake.
Yeah, Dominic says Vance will be pissed, and well, he's been silent the last few weeks or the last month because I've seen a lot of people saying Marco Rubio is going to be the next pick in the next presidential election, which increasingly looks to me more the case because he's more in lockstep with Trump on foreign policy, and even though Trump's in charge of a Republican Party, the GOP still looks the same beast that it was under, let's say, Mitt Romney.
What's interesting, Mitch, is I've seen claims that Vance has actually taken charge behind the scenes, and according to what Charlemagne has said, he believes that this is rubbish and it's something the neocons are pushing to associate Vance with this war to nuke his chances of getting on the ballot.
That sounds more likely to me because I had certain disagreements with some of the things that Vance does, but one of the things I liked about him was he was absolutely no more forever wars in the Middle East.
No, that's very true. Yeah, I still don't think it's impossible that he won't be the candidate. It's just that his route is somewhat complicated. I mean, I don't know if I were him, I personally probably would have resigned at this point because that's the best way he has a chance of ever being president, which is he resigns.
Does it work?
Now.
Does it work that way, Bede, in America though? I might be wrong about this. I'm no expert on American politics, but as far as I can see, if you're not, if the president before you doesn't give you his blessing, you've got very little chance.
Well, here's the thing, because Trump has ultimately so thoroughly betrayed his base over this, I honestly think at this point, Vance got nothing to lose by just resigning and then running his own campaign. And I imagine he would get support from people like Tucker Carlson, who obviously is a big influential voice. And so ultimately, I think what Vance is hoping for is maybe Trump gets removed via the 25th Amendment or something, and he becomes president that way. Yeah, but all will happen is, okay, you'll finish off the sloppy remains of Trump's second term, but then you'll probably end up losing the election to the Democrats front.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. As I said, if I was Vance, I would certainly be keeping my head down, but I would also probably try and distance myself from this stuff. But I suppose it's difficult because if he does that, Trump might sack him. One of the things I think's gone on with Trump is that rather than MAGA taking over the Republicans, the neocons have kind of taken over the MAGA bit of the Trump administration. I don't know whether you guys agree with that.
Yeah, it's essentially, this is something Charlemagne has said as well, that basically the neocons have latched onto Trump, and what they want to do is to make sure that when his presidency's over, the MAGA movement is dead. It can never take over the party again. It will go back to being the party of, Romney and McCain.
Yeah, I've never been happy as we've seen Trump hanging around with the gay Southern guy, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham, thank you, Mitch. Yeah, I've never been happy seeing Trump hanging around with that fag. I say fag in the real sense of the word, not because he's gay, but because he probably gets off on American soldiers getting killed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, The other thing is there's a Joe Kent situation, which like it's like 1 minute Trump was making very personal attacks on him, but then he's also saying, oh well, he understands it's sort of like the Trump administration's response to that. Like that guy resigning was a bit all over the place from what I saw.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you, I was talking about this in the Discord, and Bede will remember, and I'm sure so will Mitch. We've covered this probably once a fortnight, and mostly from a British perspective, because this is a British and Old Commonwealth channel. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Old Commonwealth is basically Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So the old white empire, if you like. That's what this channel mainly represents. Although we have some Americans, as I say, I was hoping we'd have Aubrey Alley on this evening, but she seems to be busy. I know she's dog sitting today, so whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting situation. What I do see is some people on the British right, and I'm on the right, and I think Bede and Mitch would also class themselves on the real right, as opposed to the con reform so-called conservative right. I see some people on the British right who just get so obsessed with Israel. I'm no fan of Israel, and I'm certainly no sort of Zionist whatsoever. But I just think in terms of Britain, as opposed to America, where they have enormous influence and enormous clout because of the money they chuck around at politicians in America, a lot of which, by the way, is originally Americans' taxpayers' money that America gives to Israel, and Israel then funnels back into America to give to politicians who support, the Israel lobby, basically. In America, they have a huge influence. I think it's less serious in Britain. I mean, I'm not saying they don't have influence here, because of course they do, but I think it's less of an issue. I don't know what you guys think.
It's definitely got influence, but I think it's less strong here than it is in America. I mean, obviously we've had this incident in the last week with the poor 4 Jewish ambulances that were set on fire, and seeing like Starmer's response to it being, okay, we're not going to go to war, but we're still going to make sure that we make sure the Jewish community feels safe and respected, and then never again we shall never have these 4 poor ambulances set on fire ever again.
My question to that one would be, why on earth do they have their own ambulances? Why can't they use the ambulances everybody else uses?
Well, be careful what you say, because that Chris Parry guy who sung the Argentine submarine. Like, he was a reform candidate of a Hampshire way, and because he said something about Shomrim, about Jewish police force, he got chucked out of reform as a candidate in Hampshire way.
Well, I wouldn't care about being chucked out of reform, Mitch. I'm a Restore Britain supporter, as you well know. So I joined Restore Britain within the first 10 days of it starting, but not as a political party. When it just started as a lobby group, I paid my 20 quid within 10 days of that, as I think you did, and I don't know about Bede, but I think you did, Mitch. So yeah, piss on reform, basically. Reform UK, as I like to call them.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Yeah, I just think it's quite simple about reform actually chucking out a bloody Falklands War veteran who sank an Argentine submarine because he said something about Shomrim. And it's like, of all things.
Yeah, I remember he was a helicopter pilot, and he dropped depth charges on, I think it was the Santa Fe, was the Argentine submarine that he damaged, and they had to run aground where the ship and the crew were all captured. But that was one of the best tweets ever on X, because someone said, somebody should not talk about this because someone dropped a bomb on my dad or something like that. And Chris Parry came up in the chat and said, that was me. It was good. It was good. I actually remember that happening, watching it on TV when I was a teenager. So yeah, cool. But yeah, sorry, you carry on, B.
Yeah, on the subject of reform, we've also got this nonsense about what's their latest defection, this Labour councillor up in the northeast who's like an Indian or a Pakistani. Yeah, that's it. Reform just appointed the POC, British national, aka foreigner, as a candidate.
Yes, indeed they did.
Yeah, Aaron Roy, I think his name is. He only arrived here the last 10 years, and he runs a Bain football club, specifically Barwon Whites, from playing for that team.
Yeah, imagine if you tried to start a whites only football club, Mitch. Do you reckon you get away with that for 2 minutes? Or do you think you'd get taken to court straight away in Britain? Because I do. Starmer describes himself as a Zionist, and he's raising his kids in the Jewish faith, says Dominus Diabolus. Are they his kids, though, Dominus Diabolus? I have my doubts, personally. I think he might be he might fight for the other team, as they say.
Bread is buttered on the other side.
Yeah.
Enough about Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. Same sort of thing, really. Same sort of thing. There's the Ukrainian rent boy scandal, which, of course, the British mainstream media won't cover at all.
There's the rent boy scandal. That's the entire Conservative Party, but hey ho.
Indeed. Talking about the 4 Jewish ambulances that caused so much distress to the British mainstream media. At the same time, 4 little English girls were sexually assaulted by newly arrived illegal economic migrants, and that got no publicity at all. And Dan, who's a guy I like from the Lotus Eaters, he did a good tweet on that one on Twitter. He said they're not Jewish ambulances, so nobody cares that they're being sexually assaulted. And he's not wrong.
I've just seen Rupert Lowe has ratioed Jeremy Corbyn on this because, Corbyn put a tweet saying the problems we face are not caused by migrants or refugees. They're caused by an economic system rigged in favour of corporations and billionaires. We are a mass movement for a kinder world. Together we can take on the far right and win. Then Rupert Lowe replies to him, Jeremy, literally yesterday an Afghan illegal was jailed for abducting and raping a 12-year-old girl. He's not the first, he will not be the last. So don't give a shit about a kinder world. I want a safe Britain. Corbyn got 5,000 likes on his post and 1.7k retweets. Rupert Lowe got 3.2k retweets and 32k likes. Like, get fucking ratioed.
Oh, yeah, I mean, 100%. I like Rupert Lowe. I think he says what he means and means what he says, and that's not true of hardly any politicians, and it certainly isn't true of Nigel Farage, for example. But there we go.
I think the funniest thing I saw was he had a clip of Shoulder, where he's actually receiving about his party about reparations. He posted it with a satirical spin on it, and I saw some people on the right, on the reform side of things, going, "Oh, look at this! Restore support reparations," and I'm like, the whole point of that post in itself was meant to be a piss take on part of Rupert, and it's just I think the other thing I found funny was seeing reform supporters they're using photos of Confederate flags and KKK to say, restore all racists.
The boomer waffen, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Everything all right, Mitch?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I was sorry, guys. That was my fault. I was sending somebody a message. I agree with everything you say there. I mean, look, one of the things I've noticed is since I started supporting Restore Britain big time on X, Like I've always supported them since I joined them, and as I said, I joined them within the first 2 weeks of them starting up as a pressure group, long time ago. But when they became a political party, I've supported them quite a lot since then on my X, and I gained a lot of followers. But the reform guys are just so, you'd think that they'd want to attack the left or that the Greens or whatever, but no, the reform guys spend more time attacking Restore than they do anything else, because of course Restore want to actually do what many reform supporters want reform to do, that they won't. They just won't.
I have to wonder how many people join Restore every time Reform come out with something like that. Aaron Roy, Indian fella, coming in to a party. Like, I wonder how much. Like, it's just a steady rate of attrition with Reform, where I've seen fair few people all over the place. Like, for example, there's a guy over a place near me. I'm not doxing myself for record. I'm just saying it's the place in my neck of the woods in West Midlands, Brown Hills kind of way, which is like nearby Warsaw. Where, like, the Reform candidate, he was the candidate for them in the general election. Like, he's just gone over to Restore, and I see him just posting, just like Rupert Low edits and stuff. And he's got like a Zoomer team around him as well. So I had decent social media back in the general election. So yeah, it's just I wonder, like, if he's going to be like it's going to be like a death from a thousand cuts, really, for Reform, as I see it, between them and general election.
Well, they're a bit. They're in the middle, basically. They've got pressure from the left, with the Greens particularly, because young people are insane and they support the insane Greens.
To be fair, I did say in the Discord, I will say, like, the main reason why Greens get support from my generation is because they're at the moment seen as a main anti-establishment party. It's like the same with Corbyn back in 2017. Like, if you were a young person and you just want to say fuck you to the system, you're going to vote someone like Corbyn, because, well, what has a right got to offer at that point? And if once Rupert Lowe gets a good profile, I reckon he will take a fair few more Zoomers, especially young men. I mean, young girls, I think we can get some young girls, but it's not going to be a majority or anything, because, well, I mean, it's only the last few months since the new year that I sort of started talking about the woman question a fair bit, which is to say that I'm starting to come to the conclusion that giving women votes, especially young women, is just a massive mistake. Because it's like,
don't disagree much at all with that. Like, I would take away the votes of women if I had my own way, but of course that's not a practical political thing to do, sadly. What I would do as practical politics is I would make the voting age 21, and I would, unless you were actually serving in the armed forces, in which case I'd make it 18, which would give a slight incentive for recruitment, but it would also acknowledge the fact that, if you join the army at 18, or the Navy or the Air Force, you're willing to put your life on the line for the country, and okay, then you get the vote. But otherwise, I'd make it 21, I've got to say.
No, sounds fair.
Yeah, I mean, because I know Old Glory Club, they were doing some streams about the founding fathers. I believe it's Jefferson who he had the idea of what he calls enlightened majority. The idea of, because it's worth knowing, like, universal suffrage is a very recent idea, like only the last 100 years or so. Because the thing was, there were stringent standards you had to meet back in like the 19th century. Over here and over in America, whereas nowadays, which is
there is a major difference. Both Britain and America enacted female suffrage around the same time, just after World War One. It should be noted that the Americans enacted universal male suffrage much earlier, during Andrew Jackson, Obviously, we did it much more gradually over the course of the 19th century.
Yeah, I think it's correct to say that people like agricultural labourers who didn't own their own house, they only got the vote after World War One. And they had to get the vote after World War One. And the idea of universal suffrage, male suffrage, was because you had to go to war for your country if the country called you up. Why women got the vote, I don't know, because they were never subject to that. So I'm not sure what the excuse was for giving it to women, but there we go.
To be fair, I will say as a caveat, like I know in Italy, for example, if like young women, like well, not young women, but just women in general, like they were voting right wing up until like, the last 30 or so years. Like I think that was the same argument here in Britain, where most women were voting conservative up until Tony Blair.
Well, to be fair, the statistics that I've seen show that married women with children are much more conservative than single women or even married women who don't have any kids. You know, it's your single cat ladies who tend to be quite left wing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you talk like they say when women originally got the vote. I mean, the average age for marriage was like what 25, whereas nowadays it's like you're talking mid 30s these days, and even men like how many?
I think for women it was even younger, Mitch. Actually, for women the average age for marriage was 21 to 23 or something back in those days.
Yeah, and not back in the Middle Ages, because there's a myth that goes around that saying, oh, well, everyone got married really super young back in like, the Middle Ages, and go, well, in the case of like royal families and aristocracy, yeah, you might get like marriages when you're like 13, like Edward Longshanks, but the average guy, like the average peasant, for example, yeah, chances are you got married around your early to mid 20s, and that's a bit of a myth that just doesn't go away. With very normie people I know IRL, for example.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Aubrey, you've joined us at an appropriate time because we're talking about female suffrage, female voting.
Sorry, I thought you started it in 6 minutes. So I'm sorry, I'm late.
Yeah, no, we started almost an hour ago. But that was my fault because I got the times mixed up, and originally I was supposed to start an hour earlier than I was meant to. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was confused.
No,
sorry.
but listen, you're one of those girls, Aubrey, one of those few girls who mostly does do what you say you're going to do. So
well, that's really nice to hear because somebody accused me of not doing the things that I say I'm going to do. Thank you for that.
There are arseholes everywhere. All I will say to that one. By the way, for people in the chat, AI this week is busy, and Mercian is at work, so we don't have Mercian or AI. I'm hoping we might still get Outman, but he could be working. And we might get Tharium. I hope so. I like Tharium.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Tharium is.
I hope he joins us, but we'll see. Because we'll probably go about another hour, I would imagine. But yeah, we've been talking before you joined us, Aubrey, about the situation in Iran and the fact that it's not doing Trump any favors.
No, it's not.
I don't think most of the MAGA people, and I know you used to be a full-on MAGA supporter, I don't think most of the MAGA people started supporting Trump for another Middle Eastern war. I just don't think they did.
No, I don't think anybody wants that or wanted that. Yeah, and I know he ran with a big part of his promises that he wouldn't get involved in any other skirmishes or wars, but here we are.
Yeah, and I think people put up with Trump once or twice has done like a one air raid or a missile strike or what have you.
Right.
And I don't think people. Yeah, I don't think most people were overly concerned with that in terms of his voter base. But, this massing of troops and maybe putting boots on the ground and all the rest of it, I don't think many MAGA supporters really support that at
Here's
all,
the
to be
thing.
honest.
I don't have any problem with him taking out the Ayatollah and, his government. I have no problem with bombing the hell out of them, but I don't want boots on the ground.
Well, yeah, understandably, because that's just going to result in dead young men, basically.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat is talking about female suffragettes in the UK. I'm going to tell you a suffragette story, Raspberry Treacle. Because I'm an old bastard, when I was, excuse my language, Aubrey, when I was a young man, teenager, there were still loads of First World War veterans around. I knew loads of them. And one of the reasons I knew loads of them is that I worked for this preservation society in what used to be the Surrey Commercial Docks, which they abandoned. It closed down because containerization and all this stuff. And it got loads of wildlife, loads of birds. And because they cleaned the Thames up, there was loads of fishing there as well. And the Preservation Society that I joined when I was, I don't know, 14 or something like that. Actually, I was probably 13 now I think about it. But anyway, they used to sell day tickets for fishing there because we used to restock fish in some of the isolated docks, which were basically lakes because they were isolated from the river. And we used to, we reintroduced some newts, some frogs and all sorts of things to the place. But we were supposed to charge these dudes like 50 pence for a day's fishing. I never used to charge them. I just used to sit and chat to the old boys who were fishing. And quite a lot of them were like First World War soldiers. And I got to know one of these guys. Nice bloke. When he went fishing, he always had a collar and tie on when he was fishing. And
That's adorable, by the way.
Yeah, he was a lovely old bloke. And I used to talk to him for hours, which he was surprised at because, most young people weren't interested in that. But I was, because I was into military history and stuff. And he took part in the Battle of the Somme in 1916, and he got quite badly wounded. And so they sent him back to England for treatment, basically. And then he got, he had to get better. And then they gave him embarkation leave in, I think it was early 1918, if I remember correctly now. Either that or late 1917. But anyway, he was going back to his regiment because he was better. But his wife, because he was a married dude with a couple of kids, his wife was fucking terrified that he was going to get killed, because by this time in the war, the people at home knew the huge casualties we were getting. Like 1 million British and Old Commonwealth guys were killed in World War I. And so when he went on his embarkation leave home, he dressed in civilian clothes because he didn't want to scare his wife. If he'd have gone home in uniform, it would have brought all her fears to the surface. And he was on a tram, which they had in London in those days, and a suffragette, who were mostly middle class ladies, in inverted air quotes, gave him a white feather. Because and this bloke had been wounded on the Somme.
That's repulsive.
Yeah,
absolutely repulsive.
And he told me, he said, I just spat in her face, and I don't blame him at all, because he couldn't hear her. He couldn't hear her, of course, because he was a dude, and in those days, dudes didn't hit women, basically. But he just spat in her face. But he, as I said, he was going back to his fucking regiment on the Western Front. And she gives him a white feather, and he'd already nearly died on the Somme. but that's what the poxy suffragettes were, who are now celebrated apparently as early feminists. They were scumbags.
How dare they be that presumptuous, for one thing, but also how dare they stand in judgment of any man who
they used to give
Aubrey.
They used to give white feathers to 15-year-old boys sometimes.
I mean, what is that? Like, I just think that's so disgusting that they would, make judgments like that and decide.
Well, I know.
It's easy to do that when you're not going over, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I know you watched The Four Feathers with me, the movie, yeah, and a white feather was what you gave a coward, basically. So that's why they were doing it.
Right. I think it's repulsive, and I'm not a big fan of women, so that's why, because they do things like that. Feminists are so responsible for the downfall of so many of our problems right now in our society, as we've discussed many times.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that the suffragettes, a lot of them actually became members of the BUF, like the British Union of Fascists, funnily enough. So I don't know how much you can say there was Jewish influence with, as Rosemary Trigger said, that those Jewish influence with the suffragette movement. I mean, I don't know anything about that, but it'd be massively ironic if that is the case, given quite a few of the suffragettes or suffragists of, I forget whichever one it was. A lot of those people.
Yeah, I saw that, Mitch. Aaron Hook pointed that out, and Aaron Hook is our big expert on my Discord about 19th and early 20th century politics and stuff. And Aaron pointed out that some of these suffragettes later on became members of the British Union of Fascists, which is Oswald Mosley's lot. And I didn't know that, but if Aaron says it's so, I'm quite prepared to believe him, because he knows much more about that than I do.
Aaron knows his stuff, doesn't he?
Well, it's also interesting because we talked about, Mitch mentioned that women tended to favour the Conservatives in elections. Well, at the 1918 election, which was the first election where women could vote, women favoured the national government, so the Lloyd George's Liberals and the Tory Party, interestingly enough. And it's also noted that the very first woman to be sworn in was the Tory MP, Nancy Astor.
Lady Astor, the one who the song D-Day Dodgers is written about, Bede, yeah? She accused this dumb idiot woman in the middle of World War II. She accused the British soldiers fighting in Italy of being D-Day Dodgers. Right, now, first of all, the fighting in Italy was vicious, and many people died there. The Germans had a series of really strong defensive lines that we had to take. And the idea that a British soldier, whether he be a private or a lieutenant colonel, decides where he's going to serve is ridiculous. The blokes in Italy were sent to fucking Italy. It wasn't their choice.
Well, it's funny.
She actually said in Parliament that the troops in Italy, like the 8th Army and the rest of it, were D-Day Dodgers. What a moron.
I will say something that might cheer you up a bit, Duke, is obviously I know we like to criticise Winston Churchill, but one redeeming anecdote I have about Churchill, which you may have heard of, is the famous back and forth he had with Nancy Astor, where she said something like, "Winston, if I was your wife, I'd put poison in your coffee," and he retorted, "Nancy, if I was your husband, I would drink it."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's another. As you say, Bede, I'm no fan of Winston Churchill, but there's another good Churchill one. He was at dinner one night, and some lady said to him, "Winston, you're drunk." And Winston said, "Yes, but in the morning I'll be sober." Oh no, he said no. He said you're ugly, but in the morning I'll be sober.
Yeah, that was it was Bessie Braddock, who was a Labour MP, is who he said that to.
He said that she was ugly.
He said she was like, Winston, you're drunk. Madame, you are ugly, but in the morrow I shall be sober.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. And she'll still be ugly.
Exactly. Yeah, but look, I'm not a Winston Churchill fan, but I will say he wrote good English, and he was quite witty sometimes. But I'm not a fan of Winston Churchill as a politician, I gotta say. In fact, I was slugging him off today on X, talking about the Royal Navy. Winston Churchill did a great deal of harm to the Royal Navy. He tried to micromanage it from London during World War One, which got a lot of Royal Navy sailors killed. He also supported the 1922 Washington Naval Treaty, which was a disaster from Britain's point of view. We should never have signed up to that. It basically was the start of the decline of the Royal Navy, if you want. Absolutely it was, by the way. He also refused, as Chancellor of the Exchequer, to finish the defences of the Singapore naval base, which of course he forgot by 1942 when the Japanese were knocking on the door there. And also, of course, he stopped all large shipbuilding for the Royal Navy in 1939. Some of it permanently, some of it only for a while, but it meant that in the second half of the Second World War, there were no new British battleships. The cruisers were all about 6 to 12 months late, and the aircraft carriers, most importantly of all, were all much later than they should have been. So Churchill was by no means a good thing from the Royal Navy's point of view. But yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely not a fan of Churchill.
This is true. You can find half a dozen streams on this channel.
Right.
Me talking about Winston Churchill. No, about half a dozen, where I talk about Winston Churchill specifically and all the bad things that he did. But he was half American, of course, which is, I'm sorry, Aubrey, I know you're an American. He was half American, and he adored his American mother.
I'll never forget. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, I was just going to say who was little more than an upper class whore, actually. But anyway,
we American women can be quite charming.
Well, I think the professional term is socialite, but hey, that works. I was just going to say, I'll never forget that quote from the Ocean Apart documentary by Adam Curtis, where it's Churchill speaking of FDR. No lover ever understood the whims of his mistress as I did President Roosevelt.
Yeah. And the thing was that Roosevelt didn't like Churchill much, really. But there you go. Which showed in his actions. But, Mitch, did you have a first topic you wanted to talk about this week? Or a topic you wanted to talk about this week?
I suppose we could talk about Harry Potter stuff. That HBO series that's
oh god,
and all the Black Snape.
Black Snape. Yeah, have you seen this? Have you seen the music video of Black Snape, which I think is brilliant? It's really fun.
I've never seen or read anything of the Harry Potter series.
Wow, I'm shocked, Aubrey.
Are you being sarcastic or serious?
No, I'm serious. It's just
yeah.
I usually, because like every woman under the sun, I swear, is obsessed with Harry Potter. So the fact you're not surprises me.
To be fair, Aubrey hasn't watched Die Hard or The
Patriot. Yeah, that's true. Oh, Mitch, you are holding on to that one, aren't you? And I've never seen Braveheart.
I've seen some of the Harry Potter movies, but I've certainly never read the books because they're children's books, and I was too old to read those.
I know a lot of adults that have read them, though, and enjoyed them.
Mostly chicks, I suspect, but yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, it's more girls other than blokes, but yeah. I mean, of course, with J.K. Rowling, she was in favour of blackwashing Snape, because why wouldn't she? I mean,
Well, they blackwashed Hermione with that Harry Potter and the Cursed Child play, despite the fact there are clear passages that allude to Hermione's pale skin in the book. So it's like, okay.
Well, they do that with
I'll be
Snape,
right
though.
back, you guys. I have to feed the dog here real quick, so just a second. I'll be right back.
They do that with Snape too, because Snape's supposed to be pale and what have you, and also was supposed to have been in love with Harry Potter's mother.
yeah, that's going to be one heck of a weird one, where because there's a scene where it's like a flashback to James Potter hanging Snape from a tree. So I don't know how they're going to do that with Black Snape.
Oh wow! My favourite one was the scene where they're with the Boggart, and obviously Neville's greatest fear is Professor Snape. So we're going to see a black Professor Snape emerging from a closet, and make of that what you will.
Yeah, and
it's not. Dear God, I just think it's ridiculous. But I also think it's worth pointing out that J.K. Rowling, who for a while was being supported by some people in our kind of sphere, she's a feminist. You can never support a feminist. You just can't, because feminism is lefty. It just has to be.
Wasn't she like making some changes though in her opinions? I feel like I heard this story.
She's anti-trans, but that's about it.
Oh,
yeah, she's a TERF. She's a TERF. He's a what does TERF stand for, guys? I can't remember.
Transitionary radical feminist.
Yeah, so she's a feminist, but she just doesn't think that blokes pretending to be women should be classed as women. And fair enough, I can agree with her on that one. But that's the only way in which she agrees with us at all. In every other way, she's our enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she also spoken fondly, because I think she had an aunt who I think went to go and fight for the communists in the Spanish Civil War, which she's proud of. And what's also interesting is something I found out is obviously, as people may know, in the lore of Harry Potter, obviously the founder of Slytherin, which coded as like the evil house, was founded by a guy called Salazar Slytherin. And I wonder where she got the name for him from. She, of course, got it from Salazar, the Prime Minister of Portugal, who people love to. Evil dictator. Yeah.
The good Prime Minister of Portugal, by the way, who kept the Portuguese Empire going for donkey's years after everyone else started giving up. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's. I think like the other thing was like you get loads of memes where it's like, let's say Black Snape, and you got For example, you got because you have Black Snape, who they're making memes of it. I forget how he goes. It was something like, because he's got like a tattoo of other Death Eaters, and he's got like other stuff. Basically, it's like, in a way, it's like they're framing him to be a gangster without realizing it. Like when you look up some of the details about him, and it's trying to think. I mean,
the thing that gets me, Mitch, is that Harry Potter, if it has an attraction at all, is that it's totally British. That's the only thing that is its attraction, really.
Yeah, that's one of the ironic things about Harry Potter, because you have like the school itself it's a Scottish castle in the Highlands, and the whole aesthetic of it is basically like Edwardian era, but basically average libtard nowadays are importing sort of like contemporary like Californian values onto Harry Potter, and it's just like, well, it's really just the model. It's just a really weird juxtaposition when you think about it. Like it's so you have this position where Hogwarts is meant to be like an old Edwardian style aesthetic to itself, but then on the other hand, you got all the libtards they'll put into Harry Potter. You have Voldemort is literally Hitler, and
and the Death Eaters are like the magical SS.
Yeah, there's that scene from Goblet of Fire where basically they look like the KKK as well, and it's like really just like
Yeah.
it's kind of like it is for the millennials what World War II is for the boomers in a lot of ways.
I will say, Raging Mandrill has a really good article stroke video just saying Harry Potter is pure boomer truth.
Oh yeah, I'd agree with that. I like Raging Mandrill. I think he was the ex-US Navy guy, wasn't he, Pete?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, no, I like Raging Mandrill. He's a good bloke. Lothar Sheffield, who's a long-time person in the chat of this stream, says it was a former MP who advocated for Churchill to be the greatest Briton. Mo Molan, Brunel came second. He was half French. Brunel was a Huguenot, I believe, as is Farage, as is Lady of Shalott, by the way. But anyway, it's. I remember that poll, Lothar Sheffield. If you're talking about the BBC one, it was in the 90s, I think. And the
2002.
fear. Oh, okay. Thank you, Bede. But the fear was people were going to vote for Lady Diana, and so was what. Yeah. Because the load of idiots wanted to vote for Lady Diana. You know, the whore who was married to King Charles III. Not that King Charles III was much better himself, of course, but. One of her sons is the son of a British Army officer. He even looks like him, but anyway, whatever. The point I'm trying to make here is that people were scared, and I remember this, that Lady Diana was going to win. And so what people very successfully did was, because like I wanted to vote for Nelson, obviously, Nelson or Wellington would have been the two I would vote for. People, the Churchill supporters, scared everyone that Lady Diana was going to win, and so made everyone vote for Churchill. That's why he won. But it wasn't really that most people thought that. They didn't. And I mean, as Lothar Sheffield said, Brunel came pretty high up, and Brunel was a great engineer and dude, he was a good bloke, But yeah. So there we go. That's that one. Someone in the chat says they've got a soft spot for the deaf eaters. Okay then. Guys, a little bit of channel admin. Please hit the thumbs up, like button. It really, really helps the channel. It means YouTube shows it to more people. And this channel is not monetized because I don't want to get banned, which we would if we were monetized, I suspect. But if you want to support the channel, you can do so via Entropy, and that is pinned in the chat. And YouTube have now changed it, so it's pinned at the bottom of the chat, I think, rather than the top. But the Entropy link is there. I spend about $200 a month on this channel at the moment, mostly because of StreamYards and also X, Twitter. And so if you want to support the channel, that is very much appreciated, ladies and gents in the chat. So yeah.
And definitely hit the thumbs up. I'm not sure why people don't do that more often even when they like videos. I don't understand that. But.
Yeah, it only takes a second. And as I say, YouTube doesn't really care how many subscribers you have these days. They care about who watches you, how long they watch you, and whether you get a thumbs up or not. So, yeah, takes a second, doesn't cost you a penny. Go for it, guys.
Yeah, no, it's simple and quick to do, so always give a like.
Aubrey, did you have anything particular you wanted to talk about this week?
Not specifically. I just kind of wanted to come on and hang out with you guys a little bit tonight or today, I guess. That's it.
Well,
Sorry.
I've got a suggestion because we've talked about reform. Shall we talk about the Matt Goodwin fiasco?
Oh yeah, please do read, yes, and the AI book, and yeah, go for it, man.
So for those who don't know, Matt Goodwin, this sort of intellectual vanguard of the Reform Party, after obviously losing the Gorton and Denton by-election, has decided to really enhance his career by writing this book called The Suicide of a Nation, which he's been absolutely raked over the coals by the media because it's appeared that it's AI written, because in some of the references there's GPT links leading to him being branded as Matt GPT. Yeah, the joke writes itself. And because obviously he's got a reputation because he's written several books on politics and populism over the years, and so he seems to really damage his reputation as like an academic and a thought leader within reform. And was also sort of interesting is that he was planning that after winning the Gorton and Denton by-election, that he would have used that to then create like a grand platform for his book, but obviously that's not worked out the way he intended. And I made a post on your Discord the other day about this, and that it's bad enough that it's a terrible book, but it's another thing entirely that so many people are reading it and destroying him over it, because it's one thing to release a bad book that no one reads, but it's a whole other accomplishment to write a bad book that everyone reads.
Yeah, look, I watched the Lotuseaters reviewing this book, and they put up a bit of the starting bit of it, and it looked like it was AI ChatGPT stuff to me. You know that thing where you write a sentence where you put a line on either side? I can't remember what it's called now. One of you guys will know. I use it myself occasionally, but AI writing uses it all the time.
You mean like an M dash?
Yes, and they use it. AI writing, for whatever reason, uses that all the time, and it's a way of recognizing something that's been written by something like ChatGPT or one of these other AI writing apps. And it looks like he has done that. But I mean, as AI said, our AI, William Grenville, as he is, I think, these days, pointed out, like, you can look at the Death of the British Empire, the book by the American author, what's his name? The Unnecessary War by Pat Buchanan. You can also look at Hitchens's book, the Abolition of Britain. You can look at Douglas Murray, who wrote The Strange Death of Europe. This is a generic book that this bloke has written. It's not something that is original at all, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think, but
Well, all I have to say is that when he released his launch photo for it, I thought it was incredibly inappropriate that when you're advertising a book titled Suicide of a Nation, that you have a big beamish grin upon your face. Seems a bit inappropriate.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but I mean,
Or at least.
Goodwin is a strange character. He's a bit like Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage's biggest boast is that he destroyed the British National Party. Goodwin has also attacked real British nationalists many, many times. But then he goes and does this election, this by-election, that was easily winnable, but I don't know, what was it, 56 or 54% of the people eligible to vote there, and they were mostly white British people, didn't come out to vote for him because he didn't convince them.
No, certainly not. And just stress something in the chat from both of Sheffield. Goodwin, didn't he write or contribute towards Searchlight Hope Not Hate? Yes, he did, many, many years ago. And another telltale sign that he's a bad actor is there was a certain podcast that used to platform him a lot some years ago. Now, guess what podcast that would be?
Go on, mate. Who?
It was Trigonometry.
Oh, okay. Well, what
Yeah.
a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. Kissing liked having him on, so that was also a warning sign.
Yeah, Kissing, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Trigonometry is the channel he does with the dozy, Labour supporting, looks like a fucking primary school teacher bloke. But Kissing himself, his father was one of these Jewish oligarchs in the Soviet Union, and he just about fled before Putin put him in prison. Not because he was Jewish, but because he'd been stealing money from Russia, basically. But yeah, Trigonometry, great bloke, Trigonometry.
The only slight correction I'll say is that was it was 1996 when the Kissing family moved over, so we'd been Yeltsin. But yeah, it's even worse because how corrupt do you have to be arrested for corruption under Yeltsin?
Yeah, absolutely, Mitch. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that because like Putin's a bit more strict. Putin has destroyed many of these corrupt oligarchs in Russia, but Yeltsin himself was pretty corrupt and also a big time drunk. So yeah, to become a target under Yeltsin, you had to be even worse. So that's true.
No, certainly, and yeah, so it's funny because it just shows how bad this has been for Goodwin because even if you write a bad book, I don't think it's necessarily the end of your career because people may not know this, but Ian Duncan Smith, the Tory MP and former party leader, people won't know this, but he actually wrote a novel about like 25 years ago that was very badly reviewed. But the thing is, most of you wouldn't have known that because it was read by a few people, reviewed it, so it was bad, and he just moved on from it. Whereas this, everybody knows that Matt Goodwin has written this terrible book now, and it's going to haunt him forever. Aubrey has a topic, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what was that, Aubrey?
So, I guess Trump is going to put his signature on the dollar bill.
Wow.
Which I think is kind of interesting. There are so many things that I really do love about the guy, and I kind of like his bravado, and I think it's a great move, and it's got to piss so many people off. But it says the first time in 165 years that they'll drop the signature of the U.S. Treasurer, he's. Sorry, Hunter's chewing on a bone. If that's really loud, let me know. I'll move him.
This is Aubrey's.
I'm sorry, the $100 bill. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. This is Hunter is Aubrey's dad's golden retriever that she's dog sitting.
Yeah.
So everyone on this channel is a dog lover, so we will forgive that without a problem. I have to say, Aubrey, I didn't know whose signature was on a dollar bill. I assumed it was like George Washington or something like that.
No, it's always been the treasurer, I believe. But yeah, so I guess it's going to be on the $100 bill, and it's going to start in June, marking the 250th anniversary. The first time since 1861 that they're going to change. They're going to delete the U.S. Treasurer's signature. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, look, I think Trump can be quite funny sometimes.
He is very funny.
He is quite amusing sometimes. Bartholomew Musgrave, stop being silly, sir. Anyway, I like all dogs and a fair number of humans, so I'm not going to moan about a dog chewing a bone.
Oh, is it loud?
is fairly loud.
I'm sorry.
Aubrey.
Here, I'll move it.
Maybe when you're not speaking, just mute yourself when you're not talking.
Okay.
But yeah.
I was gonna say one more thing then too. So the other thing that that I guess just bothers me is these No Kings protests that they're having. They're back again. And I actually know a couple women who were involved in that in Chicago, and they dressed like frogs, which just makes me like, I don't know, cringe.
Well, it's like
These feminists, man, they're just disgusting.
It's Aubrey. It's like these fat feminist lefties who are shaving their hair off. I mean, okay, so now they're fat and ugly and bald. That doesn't really help them either, to be honest. But whatever, you know.
Right. It's their way of like showing men, you know, like getting back at men. It's just like when they earlier in the year, I guess, or last year, when they were not going to sleep with their boyfriends or husbands because they may have voted for Trump. I mean, please, feminists, continue to do that so that you don't reproduce.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, like looking at most of these women who go crazy, you know, anti-Trump and all the rest of it, and anti-ICE and what have you, I wouldn't touch most of them with a 10-foot steel-tip barge pole, to be honest. But
no,
whatever.
and you know, on X, I've just recently started using X, and oh my God, you guys, these videos of these women, like I've gotten so drawn into watching these and then commenting on them, because these women are just freaking crazy, and they all have those crazy eyes. It's funny. There's a look that like they have in common. They start to all have these similar features, but the crazy eyes, guys, run from that. If you ever see it, run from that.
The best advice you can give young men is don't stick your dick in crazy. Really, it's true. Very true.
I heard one time from a behavioral profiler. She said that a woman who has like a voice that's like really cutesy, and you know they talk like that, like that you need to run, because that's an absolute sociopath. So, just a little dating advice.
As opposed to a girl who will do that to you specifically once in a while because she knows she's being cute. That's totally different.
Okay, and you guys, what would you do if a girl started like doing like little baby, like cute little baby talk to you?
Well, that would depend, Aubrey. If it was my girl and she was sitting on my lap, then I'd think it was really cute. But she'd have to be my girl who I'd known for quite a while, and she'd be sitting on my lap. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I need examples of what would be said to.
Yeah, I'm not talking about is someone who I don't live with, I've never had sex with, and
Right.
if she starts doing cute
with some girl on a date.
then I'm out.
That.
Yeah, then I'm
Red
out.
flag alert.
Yeah,
Right.
then I'm out of there.
Doesn't
But
think
if she's my girl,
right.
and she's sitting on my lap and we're watching a movie and she's trying to be like cutesy,
Adorable.
that's all right.
Yeah.
I mean that's fine. That's just
I've never tried that
you know?
move before, but
Yeah, you should. It works. It works.
The girl in what was the movie in Wedding Crashers? If you guys remember that movie with Vince Vaughn and
Never seen it.
Owen Wilson. Yeah,
I've never seen it either.
There's this girl that she's really cute. She's a redhead. I can't remember what other movie she's been in, but she's really adorable. But yeah, she's one of the bridesmaids, and so one of the guys like hooks up with her, and then she just starts Vince Vaughn's character, and then she starts getting crazy and she starts doing little baby talk, and it's cringeworthy. But anyway, that's my dating advice.
Yeah, but baby talk works, but she's got to be your woman, you know.
If a guy did that to me, though, oh no.
Well, yeah, guys don't do
You'd be
baby
out.
talk. Baby, well, guys don't do baby talk. All right.
I hope not.
No, of course. Well, I hope not too. But no, but women do. But if she's your girl and she lives with you and you've known her for fucking a long time,
You're in
then
love.
yeah, if you're sitting watching a movie and she's sitting on your lap, like one of the nicest things about being in a relationship is your girl sitting on your lap. It's another reason why fat women are not a good idea. But it is. But you know, one of the nicest things about being in a relationship is you're sitting watching a movie and your girl's sitting on your lap, and yeah, if she turns around and says to you something nice in a cutesy voice, that's fine. That's just a girl being a good girl. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's true. I do that little voice that is quite cringeworthy when I'm talking to animals, but they respond to it. You know, got to give them what they like. But it is pretty awful. My best friend says it makes her almost get sick because it's so saccharine sweet. But animals like it, so.
Yeah, and I can say that I know this because I've known Aubrey for a fair while now. Yeah, animals like Aubrey, but animals like Aubrey because they have a sixth sense, and she would never ever hurt them.
Oh my gosh, I adore animals. I love them. Yeah. I wish I didn't love them
apart from a stupid horse, of course, who chucked her into a wall. But
did you call my horse stupid? I still loved my horse very much.
I know, but he did.
He was a baby.
He was a baby. Yeah, but he still chucked you into a wall. But
yeah, he did.
Whatever.
I would have died if I hadn't had a helmet on, and that was the first time I ever wore a helmet. So that was lucky. But yeah, he was a beautiful horse, though.
Lovely horse, but almost killed you, babes. But yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Men and women are different. You know, we are. If only men and women could realize that it doesn't make us unequal that we're different. You know, right. That's my big thing. Look, I came into the right wing sphere via the manosphere, I guess you could say, in terms of like the men's rights movement, pick-up artists, that kind of thing. That was really my introduction to the right. Do I agree with all those guys now? Not so much. Although I still like maybe Bede or Mitchell. No, there's one of these American dudes who's been on streams with me, who was a pickup artist. He's not really now. He's much more now an old Glory Club guy.
Oh, you mean Red Hawk?
Yeah, Red Hawk. Red Hawk's great.
Oh yeah, I remember being on with him before.
Yeah, Red Hawk's a really good bloke.
Yeah,
but he recognizes that you're not gonna find a right-wing woman because there are no right-wing women.
That's not true.
No, hang on, Aubrey, let me finish, and then you can have your say. There are no right-wing women. The best you can hope for is a middle-of-the-road kind of center woman. But then, if she really likes and admires you can convert her. You can. And that would be my argument. All right. Now, okay, Aubrey would say, Aubrey, you'll say you're right wing, but as far as I'm concerned, you're a centrist.
Okay. I don't believe that. I think I'm more right wing than you think, but I would say that probably my dad did mold that
100%. And this is another thing that Redwall talks about, and he's right, is that girls, women who had a good relationship with their dad, generally try and look for a bloke who has some of the characteristics of their father.
Absolutely.
And that's a healthy and good thing, by the way.
Right. It's not a creepy, Freudian sexual
No,
thing.
not at all.
No, it's not.
Sexual.
It's
not
seen.
sexual. It's about worldview, attitudes, what you
it's
will
about
and
what was
won't put
modeled.
up with. Yeah, it's got nothing. There's nothing sexual about it at all, really.
No, you seek what you know, what is comfortable, and that's why you have women who their mothers and grandmothers gave birth to them when they were 16, and then she gets pregnant at 16, and the cycle continues. And you wonder why it doesn't break, and it can be broken, but many people, they follow the footsteps of what is comfortable, and they seek that out. And so, yeah, you look for, if you have a good relationship with your parents, men tend to kind of look for a woman that's got similar traits to their mother, and same.
Do it. Okay.
Well,
yeah.
if you have a good relationship with your mother, if you have a mom that's very
Aubrey, right? You know this because I've told you. My mother fucked off when I was 4 years old, and my brother was 2 3/4 years old. And the last time I saw her, I was 6, and she looked pregnant. So trust me, I've never looked for a woman who was like my mother. Although I have to say, in looks, because because my mother was cute, yeah, maybe a bit. All right.
And like my dad, I always go for the tall, dark, and handsome. My dad is absolutely that. And you idolize them when you're a little girl. I idolized my dad when I was growing up. So, yeah, it's true.
Dominus Diabolus says, raised by my father. Yes, I was. He also, when he came home drunk, which he did fairly frequently, he would whack me when I was like 6 or 7, and he would whack me only with the flat of his hand, but he was a strong bastard, my dad. He would whack me to the other side of the room, only when he was drunk, of course. But
did you ever do that to your son?
No.
Right.
No.
So
I smacked my son twice on the top of his leg, not very hard, and I did it twice. Once when I caught him wetting his finger and trying to put it into an electrical plug, and the other time, yeah, exactly, and the other time when I caught him pulling. We had 2 dogs. We had a border collie and her daughter, who was a border collie beagle, and I caught him pulling the tail of the border collie beagle, and I smacked him on the leg for that too, because if the dog had have bit him, it would have been the dog's problem, not his. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And someone says, "Poor little me." Yeah, no, not poor little me.
Oh wow, that's not very nice.
Listen,
I mean,
my father could chuck a 500 of weight over his head, right? He did those sorts of jobs, and he was a soldier before that. So
Dominus is fantastic.
I adored my father when I was a little boy. Like, he was my superhero. But you know what? I was terrified of him when he was pissed. I really was.
Yeah, I really hope that Dominus is not being sarcastic there, because if that is a sarcastic comment, then that's really horrible.
I don't give a shit.
I do.
No, I don't. You're a girl. It doesn't matter.
Well,
You're a girl. It doesn't matter what you think, really.
it doesn't matter what I think.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
In that sense, it doesn't.
Okay.
Look, I adored my dad, and all I ever wanted my dad to say was that he was proud of me, and he never ever did. Not once. Not once. He came to my passing out parade when I joined the British Army. Never said he was proud of me. When I joined the SADF, he called me a cunt. That was the South African Defence Force. I moved to South Africa after I left the British Army because I was bored, basically. But yeah, he called me a CUNT when I did that. He told me he loved me.
You were proud of him?
Oh yeah, frequently, of course. I'll say this for my dad. His dad used to beat him with a belt and stuff like that. My dad never did that to me. My dad would never have touched me at all, I don't think, if he didn't get drunk. But when he was drunk, he did.
Your dad had a lot of really good traits, though, too.
Listen, my dad was mostly a good man. But, he would go out when I was little, he would only go out drinking once a week. When I was little, when he was older, he did it. When I was older, he did it much more frequently. But when I was little, he'd only go out on a Sunday. But he'd come home on a Sunday from the pub. And British pubs in those days used to close at 2:00 in the afternoon on Sundays, I think. And he'd come home, pissed out of his brain, and he'd start a roast in the oven. And if I didn't turn it off or whatever, and it burned, I'd get whacked all around the room when he woke up. So I learnt to cook when I was about 7.
Yeah,
I learnt to cook Sunday roast when I was about 7 because that was better than my dad knocking me around the room. But yeah, my dad was mostly a good bloke. He was fine.
Dominic says he was being sincere. Good. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, my dad was mostly a good bloke. Like, if you were going to get in a fight and you were really outnumbered, my dad would never leave you. I never saw my father scared of anyone ever in his entire life, not once, not visibly so anyway. My dad was mostly a good bloke. He's still my hero. But
He loved animals.
Yeah, and absolutely loved animals, especially dogs and horses. Or he would never have been unkind to an animal in his entire life. He was also an excellent British soldier. He guarded the Suez Canal zone in the early 1950s. My dad was a great bloke. Don't get me wrong, but he had his faults, for sure. He did. And all I ever wished him to do was say he was proud of me. He never did.
I think that's what we all want to hear from our fathers in particular.
Yeah. Fathers,
right? I mean, do you guys agree with that?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Do you guys agree? Oh, did we lose them?
No, I agree.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody wants to hear from their fathers, and their mothers too.
And nobody has perfect parents. I mean, parents
one of the
are
hard lessons, isn't it? When you realize that your parents are actually real people, and that
when you're a little kid, Aubrey, as you recognize, you think your parents are superheroes, and they're not. They're human beings, They have faults and weaknesses, and recognizing that is part of growing up, to be honest.
This is just a random thing, but when I was a little kid, we had kind of the show and tell things, right? And we had to tell what our parents did for a career. And I said that my dad was in the Navy. And my teacher asked, well, what does he do in the Navy? And now, of course, he was a first lieutenant. But I told her that he drank a lot of coffee and ate a lot of donuts. And my dad was like, well, you know what? You're not totally off the mark there. So he said that the ship chef made really good donuts. But yeah, that's what I said that he did.
Aubrey's father was a U.S. naval officer, and he was the first lieutenant on a anti-submarine warfare ship. So he did lots of sonar stuff and what have you. Really cool bloke, by the way.
Drank lots of coffee and ate lots of donuts. The things kids say, right?
Indeed. Well, we were talking about this idea of right-wing women, and well, I think it's not. I get what Aubrey was saying, but I think you've got to be careful because this is something that Red Hawk talked about before. Well, if a woman's interested in politics, that can be a bit of a red flag because I mean, look at some of the GOP women, people like Nancy Mace and bloody who's that other one from? Is it? I think it's North Dakota. Is it Kristi Noem?
Kristi Noem, yeah.
Yeah.
Who just got the axe?
Yeah, I prefer Sydney Sweeney to political women.
I don't think she's all that beautiful, but she's
got
a sexy look. She's got a sexy thing going for her.
She's not all that beautiful. She's, I don't know, 7.5, an 8. But she's sexy, as you say. Yeah. She's cute. She's sexy. Perfectly acceptable. But she's not, she's not Sophia Loren or even Marilyn Monroe. But she is very cute. There's nothing wrong with a 7.5 girl. I mean, I've always gone for 7.5 girls. No problem,
Have you guys? Do you guys have a rating system too for girls?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, of course we do, and we're talking about 1 out of 10, with 10 being
you look
really.
At a girl that walks in and you're like, oh, she's a 4. Oh, she's a 10. She's a 9.
Well, yeah, but basically, I don't know about the other guys on here. Bede and Mitch will have to speak for themselves. But I don't really bother with girls under about 5. But if they're over 5, yeah.
Oh, you definitely you go for girls way higher than 5. What are you talking about?
No, what I mean is, Aubrey, is that girls under 5 I don't rate because I don't care.
Right. Oh, I see. Right. You don't rate. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen a girl that was an actual 10?
Have I seen a girl that was an actual 10? Yeah, are you talking about in real life or?
Yeah, in real life.
A 10. Hard. Maybe, but only 1 or 2.
Yeah,
only 1 or 2. Like to me, a girl who's a 10 would be, I don't know, maybe Sophia Loren when she was 25. That sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Hard to
yeah, she would have been about 10, or Marilyn Monroe when she was about 25. Yeah, that might have been a 10, but there ain't many girls who are 10s. Come on, let's be real. There's quite a lot of between 7s and 9.5s. There's a lot of those. Yeah. What's her name? What's that bloody? Can't remember if she was French or Italian. Who's her name? Can't remember. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous when she was like 25, 30. Can't remember her name now. But yeah, there are really super attractive women, but
If you saw a 10 in a bar, would you go up and approach her? Would you try?
not now. No, I'm too old, babes.
Oh,
When Monica Bellucci, thank you. Monica Bellucci, that was the chick I was thinking of. Thank you, dear Jamie.
You were quite handsome. I think you could have done quite well.
Yeah, but I'm saying now I wouldn't. When I was 30, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's always worth giving it a shot because she can only say fuck off. Well, I mean,
I am betting that your son does quite well, being a military officer, a pilot, and
yeah,
having a British
a
accent.
Royal Navy officer who's firearm generally does okay. And my son is not an ugly bastard, I got to say. But having said that, he's not really ginger now, but he started off pretty ginger. My family have always had this ginger bit. Like if when I washed my hair when I was a kid, it had a bit of a ginger tint, and I've got such hair. If I had hair, it'd be black now. But yeah, people are talking about Bridget Bardot in the chat. She was cute, but
She died recently.
she had way too much body hair for me.
Oh God.
Women can't have body hair, like, you know.
No, I agree. Except for
I'm
eyebrows
talking
and
about
hair on her head.
I'm talking about pubic hair, guys.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think women, should be right. The eyebrow.
But yeah, no, listen, I'm going to hand this over to Bede and Mitch because they should talk about this.
Well, Mitch, you're into your goth girls.
Yes, I absolutely do like what Domino U Diabolus says there. Yes, I do. But yeah, Mitch, Bede, what do you think about girls?
Well, I'm partial to a blonde, I have to say.
Yeah, I went blonde because Duke told me to. It was his recommendation.
I mean, it was a good move. You said earlier, apparently, a lot of blokes go for girls that resemble their mother. I mean,
I don't know about resemble, but I mean, physically, but necessarily. But
I would say in my case, I wouldn't go for women akin to my mother because my mother's like 4'9" and so it's like, yeah, it's so, you know, I prefer. I mean, I don't know. For my part, it's always golf girls. Plus, also one thing. I don't know if it was Bovril or Holy Mutant or someone like that on Twitter who said something along the lines of, so one thing about because there was some people like saying I don't know, something along the lines of, because at the moment, at the moment, like, everyone's crazy about Japanese Twitter because there's some real gems to be translated, and some people are saying, oh, the Japanese are really perverted and all this, and it's like, well, and I think it was someone like Bovril, Holy Mutant, who said, well, it's all about being the only thing about being perverted, you have to be tasteful about it. So as long as you're tasteful about it, like you can say all the racist jokes or sexist jokes or misogynist jokes or whatever. You just got to be tasteful about it, and women go for that apparently. Which I don't know, never thought about that one.
People just don't have a sense of humor anymore, though. That's the problem. Because it used to be that, like, if you were making jokes, comedians could go after anybody as long as people went after everybody.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can remember like 2018 where I used to say some really racial jokes, just and you know, the same people that tried to dox me like a couple of years later, amidst all the BLM stuff with George Floyd, you know, they're all laughing at those jokes, and it's like, yeah, very fickle audience, to say the least. But yeah,
Thank you, Alphabet Cat. By the way, I'm actually even blonder now, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, look, I've got to say, I think Aubrey is correct. I mean, in the old days, you could make jokes, and these days you can still make jokes, but you can't do it on the mainstream media because they won't allow it. But if you compliment women, for example, most women like being complimented. But the idea on the mainstream media is if you do that, you're somehow evil or something like that.
You're creepy, right?
Yeah. And it's just not true. I mean, even there was this big thing about, guys on building sites, for example, would wolf whistle a cute girl who was walking by. And feminists and lefty gay guys made that somehow evil.
Oh
But
yeah, they would cry about it.
Yeah. But
They feel sexually exploited.
Yeah, but I've spoken to cute girls who used to occasionally get wolf whistle, and none of them really objected to it. They just thought to themselves, "Yeah, I
I
am
would
cute."
just smile, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I am cute.
I smile, and that's it. And then
Yeah, exactly. It's not an insult. It's you're fucking cute. That's all it is.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
like,
a guy's grabbing you in the bar, like grabbing you inappropriately, then that can be a problem, especially if your boyfriend is sitting there.
But even if your boyfriend's not sitting there, grabbing you is obviously inappropriate. But
Right.
coming up and chatting to you and saying, "How you going there, darling?" Blah blah blah. That's not.
Absolutely not a problem, right?
Yeah, it's I remember one time someone posted along the lines of, "Oh yeah, but all the like all like the misogyny that like I don't know, let's say an incel could do online is nothing compared to the hatred that women have for more attractive looking women, especially as in public."
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
are terrible. It's so true.
Within 10 seconds of walking into any public event, any woman, will have rated every single other woman in that public event compared to herself.
You want to know where you stand? What your chances are?
Yeah. Who's the prettiest girl here?
Who's
How does this go?
The girls?
That's what women do, and men don't realize this at all. But it is what girls do.
Women are brutal.
Yeah, another thing, like I don't remember, like one time when I was at uni, like there's this one girl who like she preferred just sleeping around men basically because she didn't want to go in a women's only dormitory. Because the thing was, let's say you have an argument with another girl, basically, but the grudges they bear are just for life. Whereas we blokes, we can have an argument like a Saturday, then come a Monday, without either forgotten about it or just forgiven it. Whereas women just seem to hold grudges for life.
Oh yeah, you guys will go and have a beer after, even after like a fist fight. And women, they'll act like they'll say, "Oh no, it's all good, it's fine," and then they'll plot to steal your husband for like a year, acting as your best friend. I mean, I've never had that happen to me, but women do that kind of thing, and they're wicked.
Very catty.
Yeah.
I got in a fight in South Africa with this guy called Rademeyer, who's an Afrikaans farmer, or actually an Afrikaans farmer's son. And I got in 2 fist fights with him over the Anglo-Boer War because he decided I was an Englishman and evil, and he was going to fight me. And so we got in a fight, and it got broken up. It got broken up. And then this Afrikaans girl was having her engagement party. And because she worked at a museum, and I knew the chick who ran it, and had got dressed up as a 10th Hussars officer for some event she was having, in an original uniform from like 1900 or whatever it was, and full dress uniform. But anyway, she invited me to an engagement party, so I went because I was invited. Got on my motorbike, drove over there, and there was Rademeyer at the bar, and he did the same thing again. And I said to him twice, I said, "Leave it, mate," because it was this chick's engagement party, you understand, and I didn't want to fuck it up. But in the end,
I thought you were going to say you hooked up with the girl that was getting married.
no.
I was worried there for a moment.
No, not for a second. She was a cute girl, but she was into some other dude. It was nothing to do with me. But she'd invited me to this party. So I said to this dude twice, I said, "Leave it, mate, please." In the end, he swung at me, and what are you going to do, you know? So we got in a punch-up, and it got broken up. And this Rademeyer guy, to give him his due, bought me a beer afterwards. He said, "You're right, you know, we shouldn't have done that." But I got slagged off to high heaven by this girl. This girl says to me, "You bloody Englishman, I should never have invited you. You started that fight." Which I can assure you I didn't, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, chicks are chicks.
I've got a question. Somebody, let's see, Loafer Sheffield says, Reality dropping the T-bombs. What are the T-bombs?
Truth nukes.
Oh.
Troops,
I've never heard that before.
That's a compliment, Aubrey. Yep. That's a compliment. And Loafer Sheffield is a nice chap.
I like him. Yeah.
He's a nice chap. But he's complimenting you. He's saying you're talking truth. Yeah. But yeah, no, honestly,
he's going after Amelia, Loafer Sheffield. That's so funny. Everybody's all about Amelia now.
Yeah, I know. I got into trouble on my Discord because I said they should get rid of the purple hair, and all the young blokes said, "No, that's all right." See, I people said to me, "Do you realize, Duke, that most blondes are fake blondes?" Well, of course I fucking realize that. But you know what? Blonde is a natural color. Now I've got to say, I like platinum blondes. I really do. I've had several girls go platinum blonde.
Yeah, me to go blonde. Hey guys, I have to leave. So thank you so much though for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're always welcome, Aubrey.
Thank you.
Take care and look after the good golden retriever hunter.
He's so darn cute. Oh my gosh, I wish you guys could see him. But bye, chat, and thanks again for having me on.
Nice talking to you, Aubrey.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
So anyway, people said to me on Discord, "You do realize most blondes are fake?" Yeah, sure I do. I just don't like women with pink hair, green hair, blue hair, purple hair. I like natural colors, and even
I'm the same
blonde is a natural color, you know.
To be fair, much of it is just a generational thing because I think like the only color I can't stand in terms of hair is like green, but like purple hair, for example, like Amelia, not really a deal breaker. I'm a bit more accepting of that. Although I will say tattoos what tattoos that most women get these days are absolute tatty, and I'm not a big fan of those. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of tattoos either. Bartholomew seems to have an obsession with. He's been banned. Okay.
Yeah, I just got rid of him. Sorry, I won't have to be being rude to my friends. But anyway, and by the way, Aubrey has her own dude in America, so you know. But I'm not going to have people being rude to my friends. And I would do that whether you were male or female. But yeah, I do. Look, I've got to say, Mitch, purple hair doesn't do it for me. But if I was much younger, right? Doesn't matter now because I don't chase women at all these days. But if I was much younger, say 20 years ago, and a girl had purple hair, that wouldn't stop me going out with her, but I'd get her to change it, you know?
I would say for my part, it's not a deal breaker. Like, I mean, put it that way. Like, I just think it's more of a generational thing, if anything. Although I will say, like, I mean, you know, but although I will also say, as I said earlier, you know, tattoos, for example, yeah, I really dislike the kind of tattoos women get. I mean, it's not even, I mean, like the kind of tattoos. I mean, I just think tattoos are a masculine thing anyway. I don't really think it belongs on women anyway.
I've never seen a woman improved by a tattoo. I never have. In particular, women are insane who get tattoos on their legs. They're insane.
Yeah, I can understand. Let's say like a tattoo of like a Chinese dragon or something, perhaps somewhere on my back or whatever. But that's just that's on like a very specific instance. Other than that, like, yeah, I just don't understand why women have tattoos. It just doesn't suit them, and it's a very like, you know, I mean, I can go back to like, you know, because you study, let's say, 12th century England, where you'd have like Anglo-Norman lords who would have tattoos, but those tattoos were just for like sort of, it'd be a lot for military reasons, because, you know, let's say that you have like a particular unit or a particular battle, you'd have a tattoo just commemorating that. Whereas nowadays, it's the way tattoos are done nowadays, it's just completely lost all meaning.
I didn't get any, Mitch, because when my dad joined the army, his dad, who had sleeves of tattoos, right, which he got in India when he was in the army between the wars, and he fought on the northwest frontier of India. My granddad, I mean, who was born in like 1904. Now, when my dad joined the army in 1950 or 51, something like that, he said to my dad, he said, "Don't get these, son, because you can't get rid of them." So my dad didn't get any tattoos. And when I joined the army, my dad told me the same thing. And he told me the story about my granddad. And I adored my granddad, all right? My granddad was my superhero, if you want, you know? He went across on D+3 to Normandy, and his house was bombed flat in the Blitz in London in 1940. And like I said, he fought on the northwest frontier of India, and he never forgave the Labour Party for giving India independence. You know, he was a real British dude, and so, you know, I never got any tattoos, but I knew a Australian psychologist, Chicky Babe, and she was cute as fuck, I gotta say. Her whole back was a Chinese dragon or a Japanese dragon. I can't remember now. Probably Japanese, actually. Now I think about it. But anyway, and that was pretty. It really was. But you couldn't see it unless she was topless, you know. But yeah, on the whole, women should stay away from tattoos. They really should. They do them no favors. And women who get tattoos on their legs are the dumbest people there's ever been. Really, just totally dumb.
Yeah, they're not very tasteful.
Mitch, I put your thing up here. I don't know what it is, but you can tell us.
Basically, it's just like a small microcosm of why people fall in love with Japanese Twitter lately.
Yeah. Look, I've been accused of having yellow fever. I do like Japanese girls. I think they are pretty cute, I'll say, but whatever. Yeah. Many of them, not all, but many. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny that John Lennon, he happens to give a one that's just...
Yeah, he got the ugliest Japanese girl in history. It's incredible. Like, I've never seen an uglier Japanese girl than Yoko Ono. You know?
Yeah, it's...
That is quite strange, I've got to say. Like, there's a load of absolutely drop-dead gorgeous Japanese girls, but Yoko Ono was not one. Oh, we've got Aubrey Ellie coming back. We're probably in trouble, boys.
Oh, no, I'm in the car though, so if it's too loud, you guys just let me know if it's like the noises are too loud. I'm just all about disruptive noise tonight. But I hear you're
Please
talking about
drive.
tattoos, aren't you?
Yeah, please drive carefully,
I will.
Aubrey
I
Ellie.
can talk and drive at the same time, I promise.
Yeah, but you're a girl.
I am.
Drive carefully.
You guys were talking about tattoos. Do you hate them
Yeah,
on women?
yes, we all hate them on women, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't think they're super attractive on women. However, I have 2 small tattoos. So.
Well, there you go. Aubrey Ellie doesn't.
But let me just say that what they are is they are my English and my Irish family. Their mottos, and I think that that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but don't you also have some little teddy bear thing as well?
Okay, you had to tell that? Seriously? That's not fair. Oh shit.
Yeah,
That's not fair.
women get silly toes, but there we go.
I was
Whatever.
18. Come on.
All right. Listen, I can put up with girls who've got tramp stamps, in the small of their back. I can put up with those. They're not all that terrible. But by and large, tattoos do not improve women at all.
No.
And tattoos on their legs ruin them. They ruin them. Like, if you are a girl with cute legs, why on earth would you put a tattoo on them?
Yeah, I know a girl who got a huge tattoo on her thigh, and I've told you about this, Duke, and it's the front of her thigh. It's like all the way almost down to her knee. And when I saw it, I thought it had to be fake because I was like, why would anybody get a tattoo there? Why would a woman do that? And it's like one of those mandalas or however you say that. So it like means nothing to her.
Absolutely insane for a woman to do that.
She's a little crazy though.
That's insane. Someone's asking if you have any Scottish heritage, Aubrey.
I do.
And, Aubrey will now have an orgasm on stream.
Oh God!
She adores Scotland. So yeah.
Oh my God! I don't think that much, but yeah, I've got Scottish, Irish, and English family members that I've traced back to 1100 so far, which is pretty cool.
If you want to get Aubrey to bore you, you ask
to
her
bore me, or to bore you.
Ask her about that TV series.
Outlander.
Yeah.
Jamie Fraser. God, he's hot. Yeah, he's gorgeous, man. And he's Scottish. So, I mean, Scotland, I do appreciate because of that. But no, my actually, yeah, the one tattoo is actually kind of they're kind of Scottish and Irish. I'm not sure really, but yeah, it says Christ is my only hope in Latin, which is kind of cool, I think.
Well, there we go then.
And then my other one is Je suis pressed, which means I'm ready, and that actually ended up being featured in Outlander. That was Jamie Fraser's family clan motto. So talk about coincidences there. It's like we were fated.
There you go. This is why
he's not real. So
this is why women should not get tattoos. But okay, whatever. Whatever. I know Aubrey's are quite small.
They are. They are.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any tattoos? I know you don't, Duke, but do you
No.
guys, Beat or,
No.
or Mitch?
No.
Mitch, what about your goth girls? Do you like? You wouldn't want them to have a tattoo at all?
It can debate if it's like a Chinese dragon or something on the back, like what Duke was saying about that psychologist,
Yeah.
but then fair enough. But most tattoos just absolute crap.
Yeah, it does sound actually pretty cool, that dragon.
Oh, listen, like I said, I don't like tattoos on women, but that was pretty. And that had been in books, like, of really good tattoos, but yeah.
My boyfriend's arms are completely tattooed, both arms, and
But he
um,
was military.
military. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he chose very well with all the tattoos he put on. That is like every one of them means something pretty yeah, pretty significant.
Well, I already explained why I didn't get any, and that
Right.
was due to my dad and my granddad. But yeah, look, I'm not in favor or against tattoos, except I don't think women should get them. And if they get them on their legs, they're insane. Because women, unlike blokes, often have their legs exposed. So, you know.
What do you guys think? Just curious. What do you guys think about girls swearing? Do you think that's horribly
Unattractive.
unattractive?
Not in public. I don't mind
Right.
I don't mind a woman swearing to me in private, like if it's banter, but especially when public, no, I'm not a big fan
Right.
of that.
I do tend to swear on this podcast, and my
I
apologies for
think
that.
I think if it's occasional and rare, it's okay. But if a woman constantly swears, it gives you the impression that she's not a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because ladies don't, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I was raised that you do not
yeah,
swear.
yeah. Like, if you occasionally say, oh, fucking this, that's not the end of the world, but because I think everyone does that. But if you swear constantly, it makes people think you're very common, you know?
I rebel by
If
saying "for fuck's sake,"
if
which
you're a
is
guy,
something I got from you, actually.
well, yeah, but if you only do it occasionally, I think it's fine. I think the biggest lady in the world can swear once in a while, but
Right.
if you do it all the time, it just makes you sound common and trash. You know,
As
Right.
the most millennial women, because the most sweary generation there is.
I've heard that they swear a lot. That yeah, I've heard that from Mitch. Did I hear that from you one time on the podcast or something? Somebody said that they
Yeah,
just sit there and swear like constantly, like that's their vocabulary.
yeah, you see that on loads of like Twitter accounts of like these millennial women, which is like sweary, and it's just you just them saying the word cunt every 5 minutes because that's their vocabulary.
Yeah, I never said that word in my entire life until like this last year, and that's Duke's influence again. You have such an influence on my life.
oh, for God's sake, woman! Wow. I was just about to say, I don't think I've ever heard Mitch swear, ever. Actually,
I think I have.
I don't think I have. Not like in writing something, maybe, but not actually speaking. I don't think I've ever heard Mitch swear.
Maybe not. Mitch, do you think you have sworn on the podcast?
I mean, if I don't, I'll remember. I mean, but I have times where I swear, like one time I thought my computer was crashing. I went, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I do stuff like that, but like, I don't know. In general, no. Like, I just do more for emphasis, if anything.
When I was like 14 or 15, and my dad would take me into the pub and buy me a light ale, like a little bottle of light ale. if I even said bloody in front of the barmaid or any other woman, my dad would hit me on the back of the head with a flat of his hand. You don't swear in front of women.
I think that's so funny because what does bloody even mean really to you guys when you say that? Is it like damn or hell
Yeah,
or something? Hell?
it's a very low level swear word, basically.
Or I guess you guys say bloody hell, right? A lot.
I never even saw swearing anyway. It's like people say, like, because like to go back to Harry Potter, what we were just saying a bit earlier. You got Ronald Weasley who keeps saying bloody hell every time he's surprised or whatever, and apparently that's swearing. I'm like, well, not really. Like, if he's swearing, it's a very child friendly one. And
So if you were gonna say like, oh hell, and if you wanted to really have emphasis, you'd say bloody hell instead. Is that right?
yeah,
Is that what the point of it is?
Or you say bloody hell, or if you want to escalate it, you say, oh fucking hell, like you do stuff like that. You say stuff like that.
And now we can say he's sworn on the podcast.
There you go. See, you led him into this.
I
Aubrey.
did. I'm so sorry. Just like a woman to lead a man astray.
Women are just evil. They just are.
Yeah, Machiavelli.
Lead a man astray.
Yeah, was that chapter of Machiavelli wrote something along the lines of how women ruin nations. Like this is one of them.
Women have ruined nations. That's for sure.
Look, it's a bit like in the Napoleonic Wars. One of the nicknames the French had for the British was the Goddams, because British soldiers and sailors used to swear and they'd say "Goddam this" or "Goddam that." These days, people think "Goddam" is an American thing, which it is. It was British. But on the other hand, if you want to tell a Canadian from an American, if someone from North America says bloody, they're almost always a Canadian, because Americans don't say that.
I actually was yelled at today in a voicemail about hatred of me being a woman. So it was interesting.
We don't need to talk about Bruce on this stream.
Oh, you didn't have to say who.
Aubrey, we don't need to talk about.
Well, you did. You just said it. You just said it.
But baby, I told you about Bruce a long time ago.
Okay, we're not gonna talk about this on here.
You do you, and I'll do me.
But yeah,
if Bruce had sent me that voice message, I would have fucking destroyed him. But he did it to you.
Okay.
You're a girl, and he thought he could get away with it. Fuck him, basically.
I'm sorry. That I brought that up at all. But we were talking about women leading men astray and being bad, and I was basically told I was terrible for being a woman. So.
No, you weren't. You were insulted for 7.5 minutes with about 150 swear words.
Yeah.
He's a little limp dick cuck. But there we go.
Ouch. Sorry, guys, for bringing that up.
No, it's all right.
No, listen, honestly, like, if Bruce had spoken to me in the way he spoke to Aubrey, I would have destroyed him.
I mean, I really thought we were friends, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of sucked to get that message.
Aubrey has spent the last 2 or 3 months telling me how wonderful Bruce is.
Yeah.
Now, I knew Bruce a long time ago online, as did Atman, by the way, and neither of us really trusted him. So, yeah, but you know what?
I was taken in. I thought he was a pretty great guy.
You didn't listen, did you?
He kind of hates me now because I'm.
And he hates you because he couldn't use you to do what he wanted. And you're a girl. You know what? I'm sorry. If you rely on a girl, you're a twat of a man. You really are. All right, you just
Some
are.
of the things you say are so funny.
Well, it's true. It's true. Aubrey, it's true. All right. Like, I like you. You're a good girl, but you're still a girl. You know.
I am
And
still a
I'm
girl.
sure that's what your bloke thinks. You know, he likes you. Hopefully, he loves you, but you're still a girl. You know, he's not gonna absolutely rely on you for something or other.
I
Because
don't. Yeah, I
you
don't want
can't.
to actually to absolutely be relied upon.
No, exactly
No.
right. Exactly right. But yeah, Brutus is a bit of a cunt, to be honest, and I'm happy to say that because,
Yeah,
and if
my
he
feelings were very hurt actually, but
if Brutus wants to push this, by the way, I will publish the voice message he sent to Aubrey, and he won't like it if I do. So yeah,
it was
I'm not a fan of Brutus.
it was a. I don't think I've ever gotten a message like that before. It was 8 minutes of being berated.
Yeah, exactly, and by a guy who doesn't realize you're a girl. You know, I mean, all right, okay. Like I
I
said,
mean, I'm a nice girl.
if
That's the thing. Like, I'm nice to
you
everybody.
you are a nice girl, but
I
you're
am.
still
I
a
was
girl.
always nice to everybody in high school, and like I'm nice to everybody. I'm very easy to get along with, and so it's yeah.
She used to be a cheerleader. People used to throw her around. Whatever. You know.
They did, yeah. Toss me up in the air. Usually catch me. One time they didn't.
But yeah, no, don't be a cunt. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
That's what.
be nice to girls. I mean, chivalry
Yeah,
is a great thing, and I think it's wonderful when men are gentlemen. And you know, I had actually I'm gonna say his name, but Bjarki gave me some advice earlier this week, and he was really looking out for me, and I appreciated that. So
Bjarki is a good man. I like
he is,
Bjarki.
yeah, he was very
He
gentlemanly.
Yeah, Bjarki is a good guy, and he's also the guy who filmed all those really cute quolls in Tasmania. Yeah,
Will you say that again?
quolls. You remember those pretty little marsupials with the spots? Or
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was Bjarki. He filmed
Aw,
all those.
he likes animals.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I like Bjarki. He's a good steady bloke.
Yeah,
Nice man.
he was giving me good advice, and looking out for me, and I appreciate that very much. I
Well,
yeah, I like.
that's what good guys do to girls who they like. They try and give them good advice. I mean, you know.
I think we've got a lot of great guys in the chat. I really like our chat. We have good people in there.
Yeah, yeah. I like my audience. I think it's pretty solid. We get the odd one or two coming from somewhere else who isn't, but most of them are. But yeah, true. And I agree with Adabasti 617 here. Bjarki is a solid dude. He is. He's a good bloke. I like him a lot. Anyway, guys, we've been going for ages. Bede or Mitch, anything? Final thoughts?
Oh, well, no, just been a good stream. Regarding the Iran situation, I hope it doesn't get worse, but I fear I may be wrong.
Yeah, fair enough, Bede. Mitch, any final thoughts, mate? And also, would you like to plug your American Civil War streams that you're doing?
Yeah, so I did Nathan Bedford Forest last night, part 1. I'll be doing part 2 on the 2nd of April. After that, I'll be doing William T. Sherman, and then after that, Ulysses S. Grant. So I'm planning on doing a scrim over Gettysburg, like a Battle of Gettysburg, on July 3rd. That's a Friday. The other one will be I think like the only other opinion, like the only thing I will say about the woman question was like one thing that also works for me, and this is something that I see plenty of blokes. I'm talking about normally blokes here, like they fail the test on. Like you get women who go to the gym and they like have like these massive abs, and which like basically like they're trying to look like men in terms of the muscles and abs and so on. It's just very very much. It's just very unnecessary. Like when you
I
do
agree.
like have another massive like 6-pack abs. Way. I think like women in order to get a 6-pack as well, like because a woman is 20% body fat at least, but in order to get by getting a 6-pack, basically women make themselves infertile, not permanently or anything, but it's I just don't get why that standard is pushed towards women.
I do all remember the bloody tomboy ab saga from a few years ago.
Yeah, women should have curves.
Yeah, you look exactly. I totally agree with Mitch and Bede and Aubrey Alley on this. You don't want women to be fat, but they don't need to have muscles. I mean, like if women want to do exercise, they should do dancing, belly dancing, all sorts of other things. They don't need to spend a lot of time in the gym. They really don't. It doesn't benefit them. It does benefit dudes because dudes want to have muscle. Yeah, yoga, as Alphabet Cat says.
Yeah, guys with 6-packs do look pretty good, I gotta say. But girls
Yeah.
should not have a 6-pack. I don't think that's attractive at all.
Yeah, for blokes that's fine, but it isn't. It's not for women. It's not something you want on a woman at all.
And the female bodybuilders, oh my gosh, it's scary to me.
Yeah, I don't like them. I've got to say, many of them look anorexic apart from the muscles bit, which is, not cute as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
I like chicks who look fit, but they're not muscled up because women
Like
are
Marilyn
not,
Monroe.
Yeah, women are not supposed to have muscles. I mean, for fuck's sake.
No, and you've got all these models that are, beautiful, but they are so painfully thin, and their bodies are more like boys, the ones that run the walk the
Well,
runway.
my favorite
Oh gosh,
model girl is
yeah.
absolutely Rachel Pizzolo. She's like 6 foot tall. She's got endless legs, but she's also got the right curves. She's got a gorgeous ass, and she's got tits that bounce as
Oh
she
god,
walks
yeah.
along.
We've
Yeah,
seen the videos that
yeah,
you've posted.
yeah. That's a gorgeous girl. She's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's pretty. She is. She is.
Also a great smile, by the way, and she looks like a decent girl. Like
I want to see
what?
Mitch's ideal like goth girl, because the whole goth girl thing, it interests me. Like it was not really that cool when I was in school, because that's when it like kind of first started, and so they were just kind of the weird kids that did that. But yeah, I mean, there's some sexiness to the goth thing.
Mitch wants Amelia. I
Oh
think.
yeah, she's pretty cute.
Oh yeah, she's pretty cute. If you made her blonde instead of purple,
I
I'd
kind of
say
like
she
the
was
purple hair.
very cute. Yeah, I don't like the purple
I
hair, but
mean, if you're young,
as
if you're in your 20s and going to the club scene or something, like that could be cool.
Yeah.
And if you're a goth girl wearing cute little like short black skirts and whatever.
Yeah, everyone keeps telling me it's a generational thing. Okay. Anyway, Mitch, you've been challenged.
I sent you it over if you want to check your Discord. Some guys, goth chick tends to have weird alternative interests. I mean, that's the thing is like you get, I don't know, like me personally, I just, but there's a sense where like I like femininity, but like, you get women who like so feminine, but they cry if they like break like a fingernail or something, like break one of their nails or something. I'm like, I can't be.
That's okay. That's okay,
That's
Mitch.
too high maintenance.
You can comfort them, Mitch.
Dude,
A
you're
shoulder
so
to cry on,
funny.
as they say.
You can comfort a girl who breaks a nail and cries.
Listen, it hurts. It actually really hurts when those nails get snapped back. It happened to me when I was riding my horse one time, and my fingers got caught in the saddle part, and they snapped like 3 of them off. It hurt like hell. So don't judge.
Rich women problems, Aubrey. But yeah. Rich women horse riders problems.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Hey, look, I had a nurse. The love of my life was a nurse, and she couldn't have painted fingernails at work because she was a nurse. And she used to paint them every evening when she came home to please me.
That is ridiculous. You were so spoiled.
Yeah, I know, I was. She was perfect. She was just perfect. But yeah, 100%. Every evening she'd come home from the hospital, paint her nails, because I liked her to have red fingernails. So there we go. And she was allowed to keep her red toenails because
she was allowed. Oh yeah, because at work, the nurses.
Yeah, the hospital didn't care about those, so she could keep those. But every evening she came home, when she was at work, she would paint her nails because I liked them. So there you go. Women can be good if they like and admire you guys. They can. They can be really good and work quite hard.
We can be good. I guess we just have to be trained properly. Feminists everywhere would cringe if they heard me say that.
But yeah, you do have to be trained properly. This is 100% true. All right, guys. We've been going a long time. Let's check if we've got any super chats. And we do. We have 3. Okay. So Garen for $5 US just says hello. Garen always supports the channel. Thank you so much, Garen. Much appreciated, mate. Rudd 3 Trees for US $10 says, great day on stream trains today. No enrichment in sight. I know you guys are voting restore, as am I. What are your thoughts on fellows like Blambas, and can we vote our way out? All right, there's a question, gentlemen. And
I'm not really a fan of him, to be honest. I just think he's a bit of an AA suck-up because all his videos are just parroting AA's talking points. It's almost like, notice me, senpai.
Is this Blambas that you're talking about, Pete?
Yeah, Blambas Britannica, yeah.
Okay, I don't know him, to be honest, but I'm prepared to believe you're correct about that.
He's
Mitch,
basically he's anti-restore because he's powered around with Scrump and Eveling, and who will think that restore is captured and going to be a rug pull. So
Oh, okay. So Scrump and Evelyn, Evelyn being the
You mean
Scottish,
Duncan?
the Scottish guy Duncan, who pretends to be a woman and his gay boyfriend. Yeah, I can't take those people seriously, to be honest with you.
I don't even know who this guy is. This blank Buster, whatever his name is. I've never heard of him, so I don't have any opinion of him. As for voting our way out, I mean, I'd say the next elections are the last time we can politically vote our way out of it. Otherwise, afterwards, things will get not. You have to fix it in a way you can't do it with elections. I mean, to be fair, you can't fix it purely with elections anyway, because the system we have, the incentive structures embedded within, it's not going to be all fixed inside of electoral cycles. It's kind of stuff that happen outside of politics. But yeah, points on stands. I think. No, I think we're sort of the only serious bandwagon we've got. So it's all steam ahead with that one.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm gonna say now, I don't have trannies on this stream. And I told Duncan this on X when they made a comment on one of my posts. I'm sorry if you're a man pretending to be a woman, or if you're a bloke who is a gay guy pretending not to be gay by living with that person. You are not a right-wing British person, and you cannot be, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry. I'm going to be a little bit hypocritical because I think John D can be right-wing, but he's a gay guy who doesn't say he's not gay, but he never talks about it really, unless he's very drunk. And yeah, in that situation, maybe, but I'm sorry, transvestites are not getting on my stream. But I do agree basically with what Mitch is saying here, and what B. Britannia said. If you're going to be right wing, be right wing. Yes, absolutely. By the way, what Dominus Diabolus says there, you're absolutely true. And when he left, that was when AA lost his way, pretty much.
And there's now simping for Hannah Spencer.
Yeah, no problem. I don't disagree with that, Pete. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, but I think that's the answer to your question, Red Three Trees. And also, Richard P.S. Sends us US dollars 10. And before I forgot, thank you very much, Richard. Much appreciated. So thank you very much to Garen, Red Three Trees, and Richard P.S. Your support is much appreciated, and it really does help the channel. So thank you, guys. All right.
I have a question real quick. Yeah, somebody asked if I was from the South. I'm wondering if Alabaster did. I don't. I wish I had a kind of a Southern accent because I think it's really cute on girls. But no, I'm from Missouri. Well, I'm from Michigan. I grew up in Michigan, and now I live in Missouri. So
Does Missouri count as Southern? Because I remember, because I was looking for Civil War and plenty of Southerners tried.
I've said that so many times. I know you don't want me to say facts about, but everybody knows that now. I've disclosed it.
I was just going to say that I think you would describe All Reality's accent as Midwest. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you would describe your accent, and I think it's a nice accent, by the way. But Aubrey, would you say that was Midwest? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alphabet Cat, you're awesome. Says that he likes me too, and asked if I was the valedictorian. I was not, and that would be because like I missed so many days of school because I just was so bored until I got to college, and then I loved it at my university, but in high school, yeah, no, I wasn't. But I was the state champion in debate. So if that counts for
Well,
something.
there we go. But I do like the Southern Belle accent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the prettiest American female accent for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cute.
Like, what was that vile film you got me to watch, Aubrey?
Gone with the Wind.
That went on for like 4 hours.
Oh my god! And he bitched through the whole thing. Sorry to swear, but like he was like, "This movie is terrible, terrible." And I said we didn't have to watch the whole thing, and you were like, "No, let's watch it. We've got to finish it." And then I never got to pick a movie again.
That's an exaggeration.
Okay,
and
for
you
like a
know
year
it.
and a half, I couldn't pick a movie again. And we watch a lot of movies together, and he would never let me pick.
Yeah, all right, but what was that film called?
Gone with the Wind. Yeah.
The girl's accent in that, and actually the lead actress was British, in fact. But
Yeah, Vivian Leigh.
yeah, thank you, Mitch. But yeah, but the girl's accent in that is a cute accent for a woman. It really is pretty.
Thank you, Dominus. He says that I have a cute accent, and he called me Ob, which is cute because that's what my friends called me in high school. But yeah, a girl that I know from Alabama, she she's actually from Tennessee, I'm sorry, but she has the cutest Southern accent, and it's really deep. It's a really thick accent, I mean, but she's just adorable, and yeah, she's a perfect little Southern belle, and I love listening to her talk. But it's funny because I start like picking up on it, and kind of going into that accent when I'm around her, but it's a little contagious. Oh, was Vivian Leigh British?
Yeah, she was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I
Or maybe
told you
you
she
told
was.
me that. Yeah, you did tell
I
me that.
did. I did.
She was beautiful, but we watched that movie and together, and I had watched it in high school and loved it. And then when Duke and I watched it now, much older, I was just like horrified by what a terrible woman she was.
Yeah, and this was like, I don't know, 18 months ago, by the way. But yeah, the Scarlett O'Hara was terrible as a person. She was not a nice girl at all. But great accent, though. Great accent.
Yeah, and beautiful, beautiful girl. But yeah, she did not deserve Rhett Butler.
Indeed, and also the guy who liked her but didn't marry her.
Ashley, he was so lame.
Also a British actor.
A very lame character, though.
Yeah, but he was actually a pretty good British actor.
Yeah, I've seen him in other things, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Someone likes Audrey Hepburn in the chat. I was never a fan, I gotta say. Never a fan.
She was just adorable.
Yeah, but she was so skinny. I mean,
yeah, she was. But she was so ladylike, though. And actually, I read that she she was royalty. Like her family had royal blood.
yeah. She had some
like Austrian or something, or
European thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her her uncles, at least one of them, was killed by the Germans, because I guess they were killing like officers, military officers.
Evil Nazis. God.
I didn't say that word, so
I know you didn't. No, you didn't, Aubrey. But honestly, I was not a fan of Audrey Hepburn. I was not a fan of Grace Kelly either, because
Oh, she was beautiful.
no, they were both pretty, but they weren't sexy. Not at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Not even. It's a bit like Doris Day. Doris
Right.
Day
Oh,
was
she was
pretty.
so cute. I love
She
Doris
was
Day and Rock
pretty.
Hudson movies.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Rock Hudson was gay
Rock
as a
Hudson was
9-bomb
so
note.
gorgeous. It was so
And
sad to learn
gay
he
as
was
a
gay.
9-bomb,
I
gay as a
know.
9-bomb note.
Such
But
a disappointment.
yeah, but honestly, none of those women, they were cute, but they weren't sexy.
They were too wholesome.
Yeah, there is a difference between being pretty and being sexy. And you don't even have to be pretty to be sexy.
Right.
You don't, you know? If you look at chicks like oh Christ, I've forgotten her name again, but someone mentioned her earlier.
Oh, Monica something?
Yeah,
Is that who you
Monica
were talking about?
Bellucci. Yeah, Monica Bellucci was drop dead gorgeous, but she's also sexy.
And then we were
That's-
talking about Sydney Sweeney, who's not like, you know,
Yeah,
you don't
no,
look at her and think
not-
she's a knockout, but she actually is very pretty when she's
Yeah, and
you know,
she's quite
done
sexy.
up.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
she's got a sex appeal for sure, and it's kind of
yeah.
like it's kind of an underlay. I think Scarlett Johansson is very. She's got a sexy quality to her. That
She used to have, and now she said, "No, I was exploited when I was younger."
she's a crazy liberal. I
Yeah.
think both of her kids are trans or something.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, when she was younger, she made money because she was pretty and sexy. That's
Yeah.
why she's a millionairess. And now she tries to say, "Oh no, I was used." I mean, fuck off.
If only I could be used like that.
Yeah,
That'd be
I get
wonderful.
used that. I
Right.
get used that way every day of the week. Go for it, right?
Oh no, I have to star in this film and make 20 million. Terrible day.
Yeah, I just hate that. One of the bad things about modern women is that, on the one hand, when I say you, I don't mean you, Aubrey. I mean women. On the one hand, women want to be girl bosses, right? Who can beat men up in a fight in Hollywood.
Awful.
Yeah, in Hollywood. You can't really, but you can do it in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, if a man, even some fat 5'6" bastard, so much as slaps you, oh, okay, he must go to jail for a year. Right?
Yeah. I've been slapped.
But on the other hand,
it's not a jail-worthy offense.
But a woman can get a great big metal object and sling it at a bloke, and if somehow he survives, right, she won't get anything. She won't go to jail. Not a chance. But on the other hand, you see, women are these poor, weak little creatures that if any sort of bloke does anything bad to them, this man should go to jail for a long time. On the other hand, they can be cops, they can be police women, they can be firemen.
No, yeah, should not
Even
be.
though you can't do
be.
any of those jobs at all well.
Mm-mm.
It's like insanity. We live in insanity world.
I have a friend that is a fireman.
Insanity world.
I have a friend that's a fireman, and his coworker is a female, and she's petite, and he's like 6'3" or something, and she was saying, you know, that I know I wouldn't be able to, if we got trapped, I wouldn't be able to carry you out, if you know, like if he was injured. And she said, but I would stay with you until the end. And first of all, I was like, yeah, right. She's going to stand there and burn to death. Okay. Don't believe that. But then I said to him, I said, why should either one of you die? why should that happen? Because she has the dream of being a fireman. So her like that, her job, ideal job, trumps everything. Like, have a man that can carry you out, and then nobody dies. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, how about you have a fire chief and a deputy fire chief who can both rescue each other? That would
Right.
kind of make sense to me.
I couldn't believe that. And he was like, I thought that was really kind of her, really sweet that she said that. And I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, how about he is the nurse type person who, when they get them out of the building, resuscitates them and that
Right.
Because
Right.
she could do that.
Right.
She could do that. She can't be a fire person, but she
No.
could be like an EMT who could save people after they come out of the buildings. Women can do that perfectly.
Alabaster says can't even take a switch to him anymore. Clown world. LOL. That's funny. Nicole Kidman, Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a movie we watched too, Duke and I. And the entire time, you were like, "Oh, she's hideous. She is so unattractive. I can't believe anyone can find her sexy." And I was trying to listen to the movie, and that was constant. It was pretty funny. But
I'm not a fan of Nicole Kidman, but there we go.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny. And there was one other comment I was
By
gonna.
the way, I never said she was hideous. I never said
Oh,
that.
you were like, she's
I
so
I thought
unattractive. She's
I
awful. Blah
thought
blah blah.
I think Nicole Kidman is very average. Very average.
Well, you had a fit about her just being terrible and awful, but yeah. An eye for an eye. Thank you. Very sweet. We've got nice
All right.
people tonight.
All right, we're losing all our guests.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying. I'm trying to look at these messages here. So
Sorry, I was trying to get Beta Britannia to plug his channel. All right.
you can put it in afterwards.
I will.
Yeah.
All right. Beta Britannia, go and check out his channel, particularly if you're interested in the Middle East and the historical Middle East. He's got a recent series about Iran, Persia, but really good channel. Go and check it out. Mitch has now got a channel that he's recently started, which is looking at the American Civil War, a subject I know very little about, but it seems to be a good channel, and I know Mitch does good research. Aubrey, anything you want to plug?
So yeah, my new channel in the in YouTube is just at Aubreyality, and I have just the one podcast on there so far. I've been on a few other podcasts that I probably should link to it, but this week is finally our trivia. So yeah, tune in. It's going to be fun. I'll post what day we're going to do. I have to talk to the guys to see what day is going to work for them, work best for them. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be all like British and American trivia, and I think it should be a lot of fun. So.
If I join and don't win, I'll be very disappointed. But anyway,
I haven't decided what the winner even gets yet. We'll have to come up with some kind of prize, but and the audience can play along too. So the chat. So I'd love to have you guys come.
That should be the idea. You should invite Bruce.
Yeah.
And say you're only allowed to join if you swear every second word. But anyway.
Tell me I'm retarded because I think he said that about 8 times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love Bruce. I think he's a great.
Oh no.
Honest, I wouldn't kick him
Let's
ever.
change that
But then,
subject.
but then I wouldn't send messages to girls either.
No.
But anyway, leaving all that aside, thank you for joining us, Aubrey Alley.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you, chat.
You're always most welcome.
Thank
And
you.
thank you very much to my friends Mitch and Beta Britannia for joining us. There will be links to Beta Britannia and Mitch's channels under the stream in a bit. So, yeah, go well. And in the meantime, guys, don't know the bus is grind you down.